All right, assalamu alaikum. Can you all hear me now? Thank you for pointing out there's no sound. Everybody in the chat, you should be able to hear me now. Good. So yeah, I was on Discord earlier, and I was asked to join a VC, a voice call, by a member of the Muslims. So I joined the call, but it was just me by myself, and then somebody else joined, and we're having a nice, decent, calm conversation until one of the Muslims joined and commenced his berating of me. Like, he just talked at me non-stop. I didn't stop talking for ages. Like, and any attempt I made to speak just prevented, just kept talking and talking and talking. So no, it wasn't him, but it was one of the Muslims. Okay. Gosh. Yeah, this guy was so triggered, he even threatened me, right? A credible threat. When I say a credible threat, a real threat. Yeah, he stepped over the mark, that even the Muslims decided to try and interrupt him. Then you had one of the Muslims come along to be a mediator in a server that doesn't even belong to him. Anyhow, so it was just we're dealing with some lunatics online, like absolutely crazy people. How these people are free and on the streets and not in a secure unit in a mental ward, it's shocking. Yeah, it's worrisome as well, because somebody sent me an article earlier. Find it. Yeah, here. Bear with me. Let me see if I can share the screen. Okay. So you should be able to see this article here. Hey, hello there, Claire. How's it going?
Going well, I guess. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just thought I'd join. I'm well. Hope you are too.
Yeah, all good. Thanks. Just yeah, realizing the extent to which mental health is a severe problem in our society. Like
Yeah, my mother says that, and she doesn't even live in this country. You know, it's lockdown, isn't it? You know, our isolation. Uh, there was this really great article about how you can control people. You make sure they're socially isolated from each other, and just get information from their phones. And of course, you pump all, you know, they all know our mobile numbers, and they know how to frighten us and reassure us and frighten us again, and that's how they do it.
Yeah. I mean, the people I'm speaking about, I think they've had severe mental issues from even before lockdown. They strike me as being really disturbed people, and probably have been on medication to address that. But obviously, they're not strict on their on taking the medication. So that's all apparent when you're online talking to them.
And the thing is, I think just ordinary people, that you know, they're upset, they're angry, they want to take it out on people. You know, they're just looking to
Yeah,
find somebody to scapegoat and victimize.
that's true.
Um,
Yeah,
it's
they're experiencing pain in their lives, and therefore they want to share that pain with someone. And
They want to kick the
yeah,
dog when they come home after a bad
yeah,
day at work.
that's
That's
true.
basically, you know. Mm.
And somebody sent me an article today about this lady here on the screen. I don't know if you can see it. But
No, I don't know about that story.
Her name is Yasmin Shkafi,
Yes.
and she's not with us anymore. She died. She was murdered by her husband, her ex-husband. So I was just thinking before reading the article out. I mean, I was just thinking, what could cause a man to murder his wife? That guy must.
Well, lots of things I think
Yeah.
that would be the joke. Because actually, statistically, if we're going to be murdered, we will most likely be murdered by our spouse more than anyone else. I'm sure that's the statistic.
Yeah.
You know, all those jokes about, oh, the butler did it, you know, and these sort of murder
Yeah.
mysteries. It's you know, it's usually the husband or anybody who stands to benefit from your death.
Yeah.
Which means parents or children or, you know, business partner or whatever.
That's true. And these people online that we interact with, I wouldn't be surprised if they murder people in their households or people online that they encounter. They're just crazy lunatics. Yeah. And there's so many of them, like in a group together, that their lunacy is considered the norm in that environment. And you who might be normal, or when I say well, who knows what normal even means, but you know, a sense of being a little bit reasonable, you would be cast as an abnormal person, right? An outlier. And that's
Yes.
why I'm experiencing in some of these groups. They're mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
And they call you mad. So, you know, you think, you know, what's more scary? Either that I am mad or the whole world is mad and I'm the only sane person. I mean, it's just as scary either way, right?
Yeah. And they tried their bullying tactics with me today, right? So, and it just made me think, imagine being a child at school experiencing this. You can now I'm able to cope with this online bullying to an extent because I know there's a real world out there with normacy. And these people are clearly abnormal. I can contextualize their behavior and put it where it belongs in my mind, where it doesn't affect me so much psychologically or emotionally. However, if you're a child at school and you're in an environment with a bunch of crazy people, and when I say crazy, it doesn't have to be like mentally ill, they could just be bullies. But bullying in itself is a form of mental health as well, you know, psychopathy or whatever, you know.
Yeah, I remember when it happened to me at school.
Yeah.
It's very wearing, you know, after a day of being bullied at school. Yeah,
The victim isn't aware of an outside world that exists. Yeah, their complete interactions are in that environment at school. Yeah, there's a bigger world out there that they haven't experienced, so they're not able to put that bullying and that lunacy and that eccentricism in the place that it belongs or compartmentalize it, because to them that's the real world. And then
there's no escape from it after
there's no
school
escape.
because of social media.
Yeah. And I don't think schools do enough to address this type of thing. It's such a problem. You see right now on some of the other channels, there's something going on with a lady called what's her name, Wendy Wu and Jupiter, and they're complaining about being bullied, and to what extent that's true I don't know, but it can cause people to want to, you know, take their own lives. But what's shocking to me, when I say shocking, the reason I'm talking about it right now is the people that shouldn't be doing such a thing, right, are people who call themselves Muslims, right? If somebody comes online and claims to represent Islam as a religion, right? If you find that person engaging in this type of bullying, to me, that's absolutely wrong, right? I mean, people shouldn't do it in general, but Muslims have clear guidelines. And if you're going to come out, if you're coming online, you're a Muslim, but you're not representing Islam, then, you know, maybe I can understand.
What
But
are
when you
these
have
guidelines?
not to oppress people, not to cause harm, treat people the way you'd like to be treated, etc.
Right. I mean, I know that there's a rule against backbiting that kind of thing. But I just wonder if it's, properly defined. Is it
backbiting
defined?
is to say something about your brother, meaning another Muslim or another person, that which they wouldn't to say something about another person when they're not present, that they wouldn't like to be said about them, even if it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're quite tall, right? And when I'm having a conversation with, I don't know, somebody else online, I say, Claire, she's quite tall. Now, there's nothing wrong. It's just a description, and it's factual. But maybe you don't like being called tall because it's usually used as an insult. And when I used it, it could have been interpreted as an insult. So therefore, you would take that offensive. I probably wouldn't say it in front of you as well. Well, tall, not really a problem, but fat would be one. I wouldn't describe you as fat.
Yeah.
Even if you are fat.
I put a link in the private chat. You might have a look at it. It's actually Jewish. It's called Lashon Hara, evil speech, and it's very specific about the things. And I thought actually it'd be quite fun to, put people in a game show and catch them out. If they break the rules. Particularly if they're politicians or something. Maybe you want to look at it later or now or whatever, but these are very specific rules. I mean, it's sort of saying you mustn't say this thing even if it's true, and even if that person you say it about would agree with you, and that kind of thing. And I thought you might enjoy it.
Gossip and slander are serious sins in Judaism. Judaism forbids causing any deception or embarrassment through speech. Yeah, same in Islam. It is forbidden even if the statement is true. That's the same in Islam. There are some exceptions that allow tale-bearing. Yeah, same in Islam as well. So, for example, tale-bearing, I don't know what they mean by tale-bearing specifically, but
gossip, I suppose.
Yeah, true. Tale-bearing is cursed in Islam as well. But there may be exceptions. What would be an exception? The talebearer is like a merchant, but he deals in information instead of goods. This is very similar to Islam. It's a violation of its mitzvah to say something about another person, even if it's true. Yeah, even if it's not negative, even if it's not secret, even if it hurts no one, even if the person himself tells the same thing if asked. It's said that the tale, leads to bloodshed, which is why the next, you shall not stand aside when your fellow blood is shed. Then owning the news, right? So, for example, Robert Maxwell, he was Jewish, and he owned newspapers. What is newspapering? What are newspapers except what's it called? Tale-bearing. Yeah. The BBC News, they come with a straight face, like they're doing something good. That's all they do is tale bear or bear tales. Yes. Ultimately,
they are the gutter press.
And there's the type, and they choose what tales to tell us, right? And what tales to hide from us. So speech is a serious issue. There are hadiths about speech. Let me see. Speech. 7 hadith. Speech 70.
What did you say that triggered those mad people? Was it anything?
So for example, somebody used the C word in front of me, right, on the panel. Right.
Wow.
So I said, that you shouldn't. That's another form of speech that's prohibited. Okay, foul language, insulting, and he just continued to use it, and then they kicked me off the channel. None of the other the Muslims. They're a gang called the Muslims. So the none of them even corrected the person who used the language. Okay, part of Islam is that you forbid oppression, and none of them chose to do that. None of them chose to advise him. Instead, they kicked me off, the victim. So then they came. Yeah. No, they just don't like when they're corrected. When you point out that you claim to be the Muslim and you're violating the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad, they can't stand to be told that. So here is a hadith. Let me see. I don't know whose website this is, but if I could find the authentic hadith, that would be good. But all right, Abu Hurairah narrates that the Messenger of God sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Verily, a person utters a word that he deems harmless, but it results in his falling into the depths of the hellfire." SubhanAllah. So a word that you utter can enter you into the depths of the hellfire. It says here, in a similar narration reported by Muslim in the Sahih, Imam Nawawi commentates that the person does not think about what he is saying, and furthermore does not fear the consequences which may arise because of it. So I suppose it's negligence, isn't it? A form of negligence.
Well, it could be intentional. I mean, I suppose the whole idea is evil messages that you send. Because I was thinking, okay, you may not even speak. I was thinking about this joke about some terrible actress, and she played Anne Frank, and the joke was that she was so bad that they wanted the Nazis to find her, and they told the Nazi stormtroopers or whatever that she's in the basement or wherever, and it wasn't conveyed by word, but just a nod of the head, a jerk of the head or something like that. So it wasn't even an actual she's there, but
Yep, it's true. Yeah, you don't even have to speak for it to be similar. You can make facial expressions, can't you?
Yeah, because what's her name, Sarah Burko? I mean, I didn't think she should have been done for libel, but do you remember when what's his name,
John Burko,
Lord McAlpine,
okay,
was accused of being a pedo or something? There were rumors going on Twitter that he was one of the people suspected of it or something.
Yeah.
And she mentioned it, and it was an emoji of a funny face, and she got done for that. Had to pay quite a lot of money. I mean, I didn't like her, but I thought, well, a funny face could, is not necessarily defamatory. But then the problem is that you don't automatically get a jury at your libel trial. So it there was a reason for that. Ordinary people had to agree that whatever was said was indeed libelous, because of the usage of a particular word. And now a single judge can decide whether it was libelous or not. So rich people can be victims too, though we may not care about them. And I actually feel sorry for Prince Andrew. It's
you
like,
feel sorry for him. Alaikum salam again. No, sorry, you feel sorry for him.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him because this thing that you can be convicted of a crime that isn't even a crime, because it's not even a crime to have sex with a 17-year-old in the UK in 2001. And do you remember he came on to Newsnight and he was interviewed by Emily Maitlis, and he was so confident that he, wanted to do it, even though at the time it was said that he was advised against it, but because he said, well, I have an alibi. I was at Pizza Express in Woking on the day in question. And And they've just forgotten all about that, and they're basically saying, all the media are saying that he has to pay that retired American prostitute millions of pounds and dollars for something that isn't even a crime, and his mum is the queen, and she's dropped dropped him in it, hasn't she? She's basically behaved as if he's already guilty, saying, well, I've taken away your titles, you're on your own, mate.
Yeah, I don't think she has a choice. Yeah, so there are people who are telling, every king or queen has an advice or group of advisors, and they say, yeah, you have to get rid of him. It's
Well,
bringing too much.
no, but the thing is, it just drives me crazy. It's like, and then the kind of thing is, oh, you have to save the monarchy. Andrew has to do the decent thing and take the hit. And you think, this woman who has never defended a single principle, who has never gone to school, passed an exam, who doesn't even know what due process is, and who basically, well, screwed up the British monarchy because, she screwed it up for Charles. Because the Dutch monarchy is run on more sensible lines. So, the Dutch monarch would always step aside when her son has married an attractive woman who has given birth to cute children. She will abdicate. And that's what they've done. And that's how they kept, the Dutch monarchy relevant and interesting, because nobody cares about an old king. So basically, the Queen has basically, she spoiled it for Charles. So now the call is, let's skip a generation. Let's give it straight to William because, he's got a pretty wife and got interesting children. And that's the only reason. Is that the whole point of a monarchy? It's not. It's not some. Well, I don't know what they've turned it into. As far as I'm concerned, it's not worth preserving. But the last thing Andrew can do is make a point about due process and how corrupt it has become.
Okay, let's see. If we don't have a monarchy, let's say we got rid of the monarchy, right? What does that affect? It affects the
Tourism.
parliament, like the legislature, in that any bill passed doesn't go for royal assent anymore, and
But it doesn't matter.
Sorry.
But it doesn't matter because she always says yes anyway.
Well,
has she ever said no? I'm not reading that. That's not my thing.
That's presumed commonly, but it normally passes by Prince Charles first. I remember there was some article about Prince Charles writing letters in objection to certain bills that were going for assent.
Well, I'm glad he does these things. It would be totally unmanly to just not have a political view and not take an interest in politics. I commend him for that. In fact, everybody says, "Oh, he's stupid" or whatever, and I think I'd rather somebody express his views as monarch than be somebody like the Queen who literally doesn't have a single political view except about who she likes or dislikes.
Yeah, if she wanted to, she could have easily stopped the Iraq War. She could have, because it's her troops.
She's never defended a principle in her entire life. And actually, I know why the Queen loves the Commonwealth, because, for the rest of the world, people think of the monarchy as something, magical, and it's a stuff of fairy tales, that begins once upon a time in a kingdom far away there lived a happy prince or whatever. People love the idea of kings and queens, prince and princesses, and because it's part of their childhood, I suppose. But I was talking about it to my mother, and not that she has, great thought. Well, the thing is, people are confused and conflicted, and she just happened to remember, the changeover of the British, the national anthem of Britain. When Malaysia was a colony, and there was "God Save the King," and it became "God Save the Queen," and she remembered that transition, and then she went on about, visiting London, Buckingham Palace, trooping the colour, all the sort of London experiences that a tourist has.
Yeah.
It will be, fixed in their minds. And of course, people love the idea of a king and queen and prince and princesses.
I suppose there's other factors, other activities that would be impacted. So the opening and closing of, the opening of buildings, you enter certain buildings, they have a plaque, and it says this building was opened in a ceremony attended by the HRH so-and-so. The visiting of schools and military parades.
Yeah.
Those would disappear.
Well, we'd have a different kind of thing. But when you think of the whole purpose of having a monarch, the monarch was was the person leading his troops into battle. He has to go first. He leads the troops. So, he's not somebody, hanging back and just sending other people to their death. So he had to be a person of, courage, physical courage anyway. And of course, in the olden days, it would be, okay, I've been reading about, stories of kings, English monarchs who actually threatened to convert to Islam. So I don't know if you are aware that Henry II actually threatened to convert to Islam to annoy the Pope, who was getting too big for his boots.
Henry II.
Yes.
Okay, let's have a look. Is that on Wikipedia or somewhere?
Yeah. The best article is History Extra. That's
okay. There it is.
Yeah, that one.
All right, let's see more options. Save and exits. All right. So Henry, if you don't mind, can I read it? Is it okay?
Oh, please, yes, I'd love to.
Maybe not the whole thing, but yeah. Okay, so King Henry II, the Muslim monarch. Hopefully he wasn't part of the Muslims. That would be a disappointment. Alaikum salam, Nikki Travis. How you doing? Monarch of medieval England. Do you say medieval or medieval? How do you pronounce that?
I'd say medieval.
Yeah, me too. Okay. In the 12th century, furious with the Archbishop of Canterbury, England's Henry II threatened to forsake Christianity for Islam. Or Islam. Yeah, for Islam. But how serious was he? And what would have happened if he'd actually converted? Writing for BBC History magazine, Claudia Gold. Oh, I wonder what, is she Muslim?
She sounds Jewish.
Investigates. Okay. In the spring of 1168. And when was the Norman conquest? 1066, right? So that's just 102 years after the Norman conquest. Or what was that scroll called again? The tapestry that we had in England?
The Bayeux is that the?
No, we had our own thing. It was around the Norman times. What was it called again? Norman scroll tapestry, maybe. Not the Bayeux tapestry. Anyhow, sorry, the Norman. Oh, maybe it's the Bayeux tapestry. I thought there was another one. Anyhow, where were we? King wrote to Pope Alexander. Right, so in 1168, Henry II, King of England, wrote to Pope Alexander III. While correspondence between monarch and pontiff was a matter of course, this letter was notable for the menace it projected. That Henry was threatening to convert to Islam. So he wrote it to Pope Alexander III. It was not unusual for Henry to issue threats. They were fundamental to his arsenal of kingship. Okay, as vital as his carefully calculated thunderous outbursts, his diplomacy. So was England at that time a Christian country?
Of course.
Okay, so it was Catholic back then at that time. Okay, they were fundamental to his arsenal of kingship, as vital as his carefully calculated thunderous outbursts. His diplomacy, the legendary speed at which he drove his armies, and his unsurpassable siege warfare in inspiring awe among his adversaries. Henry did not discriminate between the recipients of his threats, from the Pope to the lowly electors of Winchester, whom he once ordered to hold a free election. You know, Winchester was the first capital of England, from what I remember, but forbade to elect anyone but Richard, my clerk. But this was a different order altogether. Since 1097, European crusaders had been fighting the forces of Islam in the Middle East and tenaciously hanging on to their conquests. The Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Principality of Antioch, the counties of Edessa and Tripoli, Muslims were seen as Christendom's enemies. Moreover, Henry was not simply King of England, he was also the Duke of Normandy and Aquitaine, Count of Maine, Anjou, and Touraine, master of vast swathes of France, one of the world's most powerful men. He held sway from the Scottish borders to the Middle East. Wow. How was he so powerful back then? Where his uncles ruled the Latin Kingdom. Okay, so he was actually European then, I suppose. Latin Kingdom of Jerusalem. If Henry was serious, the ramification across 12th century Europe would be seismic. Could this then have been more than Henry's characteristic bombast? Is it possible that he meant what he said? Okay, it's quite a long article. I'm not going to read the whole thing. But do you remember the key parts? What the core?
Basically, the Pope was giving him jip, and because of the principle of cuius regio eius religio, which is a Latin term saying whatever is the religion of the monarch, that must be the religion of his subjects. So basically, Europeans had no freedom of religion at all. You know, they all had to be Christians, but the Jews were barely tolerated because Christians sort of recognized the seniority of Jews, because, you know, but for Judaism, there would be no Jews, but for there being Jews, there would be no Jesus for Christians to worship. So they had to kind of tolerate Jews. And so technically, you know, in theory anyway, Henry had the right to convert to Islam and turn his subjects Muslim as well, because, you know, they would automatically be deemed to take on the religion of their monarch. So that was kind of, you know, his reason for thinking of doing that. And King John was also rumored to have made that threat because he was also having trouble with the Pope. But, you know, obviously he realized that, you know, the people won't be so easily changed from their religion. So, you know, neither monarch attempted it.
So what was the Pope's response?
I can't remember what he did exactly, but I guess whatever dispute they were, you know, arguing, that, you know, it was resolved temporarily, but it kept popping up because basically the bargain of the Catholic that was made between the Catholic Church and the monarchs of Europe was basically, you know, we will support your divine right to rule, and we will send you, you know, one of our cardinals, archbishops, to advise the king, you know, to be the man on the ground, you know, one of our people to help the king govern his realm, and you know, we'll do it better. You know, with our help, you will secure your kingship. So that was basically the bargain, which was the original bargain that Constantine had when he changed the religion of Rome, which was the cult of emperor worship. Because before Constantine the Great adopted Christianity, there was, you know, a lot of fighting between, you know, various people who wanted to be emperor. And before that, there was actually a year of the 5 emperors, because, you know, 5 of them were fighting each other. But Constantine prevailed. He knew he had to change the religion of Rome to something, you know, that would work, that people would believe in. And that was when he called the Council of Nicaea in 325. Basically, he was just telling all the Christian bishops to come to Nicaea and agree on a doctrine so he can adopt, you know, Christianity as the Roman religion. But they couldn't even agree because, you know, most of them opted for the Trinity, and then a minority opted for Arianism, which is the idea that although Jesus was divine, he wasn't of co-equal status with God and the Holy Spirit. but the Trinitarians, wanted it that way, and then the Arians were basically the minority, and their modern representatives would be Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah.
So that's why Jehovah's Witnesses have always been kicked around. And so I mean, I try to make the point with Christians saying, look, if Constantine had Islam as an option, he wouldn't have bothered with the fuss of Christianity, because the reason why he called the bishops to Nicaea was said, basically everyone who was calling themselves Christian at the time was basically selling their snake oil, but somehow putting the label of Jesus on it, and that obviously wouldn't do for Constantine, who understood how religion operated, and he said, well, you guys agree on something, and whatever it is, I will adopt it, and that was basically the deal, and that's how you got the Nicene Creed, and how all that stuff about Jesus and being half man and half God, or whatever.
Yeah. I was asked to review a video of Shamsi at Speaker's Corner.
Oh, what fun!
Shall we take a look?
Yes, that would be great.
Okay. I think this is the one. It was supposed to be a discussion with a Jamaican. Something to do with Jamaica. Don't remember exactly what. Alaikum salam, Jordan M. Hopefully, let's try and help Jordan M to fall asleep, because he has difficulty. So he likes to come here and listen. This helps him, doze off. So,
I was there on Sunday.
Were you there this Sunday?
Yeah.
Who did you speak to this time?
Nobody whose name you would know, I don't think.
Okay, yeah. I think the off-camera discussions are a lot more interesting sometimes, or more friendly, especially. So you probably had a good time.
Yes, I did.
You get a lot of the gossip as well. Oh, what's this? Being handsome doesn't make me a poster boy. I bet you're gutted Elton John cancelled this tour, aren't you? Yeah, can you? Okay. Oh, I don't get that one. All right, so let's get back to the video. Let me know if you can hear it or if you can't hear it. Either way. Which channel shall we give the view to? SF Dawah or Sam Dawah? Don't know. We'll go to SF Dawah.
I'm Nick Nimitz.
Here we go.
Yeah, south, is it south, is it? Yeah, alhamdulillah.
So he started off saying south, is it? What? Sorry. Hold on. Sorry.
Is it Portsmouth or something? Yeah. South. Yeah, south, is it south, is it? Yeah, alhamdulillah. I'm good, how are you, akhi? You good? MashaAllah, Muslim? Yes. Assalamu alaikum, ya akhi.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
MashaAllah. Where are you from?
Syria.
Hey, Claire Jordan, the poster boy of what did he say? The poster boy of? Poster boy of EF Dawah gives you. Well, he says he saw you.
He saw me. Right. I'll tell you the funny story of me when I was there after you watched.
Okay. Why didn't he speak to you? That's not very nice. Anyway, Jordan M. The fact that
I know he doesn't like me.
He doesn't like you.
He doesn't, does he?
Oh dear, that's not very nice. Jordan M. The fact that about 20 people watch your Islamic streams compared to your car videos kind of leans to you being a poster boy that Muslim girls watch undercovers. Oh my gosh.
يلا على سوريا من الشام.
سلمك.
ايه ما شاء الله كيف الشام؟
الحمد لله.
وشي بخير؟
الحمد لله.
الحمد لله. كيف؟
He says, how is Syria? Is everything okay? How is everything okay in Syria when they just had like a decade-long conflict that we don't even know if it's ended?
الدعوة الآن مع هذا البشار الجحش هذا.
هذا والله ما بعرف.
الله يسهل الأمور. الله يسهل الأمور يفرج علينا وعليكم. السلام عليكم أخي. كيف هو لبوس مني؟ صباح. الحمد لله. الأهل ما جاء في سوريا؟ فين؟
So it's interesting when he speaks Arabic, he mixes it with French. So ça va is a French word. I think that's Algerian because the French influence in Algeria. Yes, who's that? Who just joined? Is that the real Jordan M?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Jordan. How you doing?
I thought I'd come on with this emoji, whatever it is, just to make you happy.
Yeah, I don't know if we can see it on the screen yet, but yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
for
what is why so
representing.
religious is what is that on his?
Huh?
What is that?
It's a man wearing, a man holding books.
Do you think that's really him?
I remember he explained. No, it's not. It's not him.
Okay.
Don't think so. Unless he can. Hold on. We actually went to visit. Okay, well, ignore that one. So why didn't you speak to Claire when you saw her?
It was dark, and actually, what I said was, "Look, Hamza, there's Cleary Law," and then he went, "Oh, forget that. Let's go and eat." So we were going to come over, but I think it was like towards the end. Were you there late, Claire? Because I only saw you. You were talking to some geezer by the entrance.
Well, I talked to lots of geezers, but
I bet you do.
But not the Muslim geezer.
I did talk to a Muslim geezer. I did. Well, I'm sure at least two of them were, and one of them has a YouTube channel that is nothing to do with politics. He actually goes around filming talented buskers. So, and he's got excellent taste. Anyway.
Tell me if any Muslim geezers you've spoken to supported your ideas.
Well, actually, he said. Well, he came up to me and he said, "I know you," and I was wondering, which video, but I guess he must have seen me on SC Dawah, and I didn't even have my name or anything, but I guess he must have recognized me, and that was when we started talking, and then we ended up talking about music, and the superb talent of London buskers, and his channel is called London Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet Ho.
Sweet Home.
Home. Okay.
You know the Lynyrd Skynyrd song. Maybe
yeah,
you don't remember.
Yeah.
So he's in showbiz, and I think.
No, mashallah. No, I think I agree. Reactionary. The best conversations are off camera. And yeah, hopefully you had a few.
Right. I was seeing if he's going to do the Mason handshake, and he didn't, so he's passed the test. Watch the handshake. Yeah, does he do the Mason grip? No. So that was good. Do you want to hear this? Anyone? Should we hear a bit of it?
Yeah,
I think I saw this. Yeah.
Oh, you watched it already? Yeah.
I think so. I don't think he does actually disagree with Shamsi, does he?
I don't know. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, go on.
Okay, let's go through it.
اخي مع
حمزه
انا اتكلم مع حتون
Yeah,
هذه مريضه اخي شو sick
She's sick.
of course she's not to be sick
First time here, brother.
no there's different way of reciting what she's called there's one Quran because what is Quran
Yes, I know. Yes.
there's different way of reciting Quran
And she's trying to change it.
it's a different no it's not different Quran because
Yeah.
different Quran mean that Quran was given to someone else no the
Wait,
Quran that we have was
one
given to Prophet
Quran.
Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
Yeah.
but from the miracle of the Quran
Yeah.
that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam Quran was revealed to him seven ways of different reciting the Quran
Okay.
because the Arabs they had different tribes
Yeah.
for example
Pronunciations.
not pronunciation even is like for words for example
Okay.
some people say zirata
Zirata.
some people say sirata and some people say sirata with seal
Yeah.
and this Arab they have different dialect different ways of speaking and so on so from the miracles of the Quran from the miracles of the Quran that a man that existed 1400 years ago was able to know different dialects of the Arab tribes even though they live they live far away from each other because some tribes that were in Yemen some tribes that were in Sham Syria Lebanon Iraq and so on Iraq is not Sham it's different but the shahid is the point here is that different way of reciting the Quran because like I said there were different tribes and the Quran was reviewed also as a challenge for the Arabs to make something like it and the Arabs as I've mentioned there were different tribes so the Quran came in the different ways of reciting it
Quick question, though, brother.
Go on,
The
Akhi.
Arabs, that you're talking about, that's not the same Arabs that are there today, though, is it?
no they are same
you sure?
yeah maybe a mix up some of them mix up with Uthman Empire but some of them not some
So his suggestion that the Arabs of today are not the same as the Arabs of the past. It reminds me of the sort of Hebrew Israelite idea that the Jews of today are not the original Jews.
I think he definitely goes into certain prophets being black and things like that, and I think Shamsi disagrees. But I think the context of this conversation, because I saw the Jamaican brother talking to Hatoun beforehand, and I think so he was with Hatoun, and she was telling him there were different Qurans.
Yeah. Okay, we got that.
They knew their lineage and so on. Like the Arabs on North Africa, they mix up with the Berber. It's known. It's known. It's known that people mix up with each other. You know.
I'll just double
But
check.
the Arabs same like the Banu Tamim there. You know.
Did he call him Akhi? He called him Akhi, didn't he? He said,
He is
brother.
Muslim.
Ooh, the black guy is Muslim.
Yeah.
He's Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure. He gave me salams.
All right. Okay, let's see.
Alhamdulillah. Because for example, Najd was not invaded at all.
Okay.
Najd is an area which is even Hijaz. Some of them they mixed up with the Turks, but some of them did not mix up.
Okay.
They kept them.
You know what?
themselves,
That, 'cause I see a lot of Muslims, but obviously, man,
Yeah.
like 7 years ago. Alhamdulillah.
You've been Muslims.
He's talking nonsense about Najd was not invaded at all. No,
Yeah.
let's continue.
Yes,
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. May Allah keep you firm.
Sorry?
I think Shamsi just corrects him on all that. I think that's all
Okay.
the video is.
Yeah, but I do realize that a lot of Muslims, and when we talk about history,
Yeah.
they don't talk about the black Arabs that were there, that whole area. All of the area, even the ones that went into Europe.
Yeah.
See the masses that are built in Portugal,
Yeah.
Spain.
It's about the Moors.
Yeah, they were all Africans, you know.
Yeah,
No one mentions it.
No,
Not saying they should.
All right, so he said black Arabs, but then Shamsi said the Africans. So, and then he said, yeah, the Africans. So make your mind up. Are they black Arab or are they African? Unless he's saying black Arabs are originally African.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, they mentioned it.
Brother,
I have a book of history.
Okay,
I
nice.
have over 70 volumes
Okay.
of Andalusian history.
yeah?
Is Andalusia, Spain and Portugal, yeah?
Yeah.
That's correct. The Moors, for example, the
Yeah.
Murabitun, which was in Senegal,
Yeah.
Niger,
Yeah.
Morocco,
Mali.
Mali,
Yeah.
Algeria.
Next time you speak to Dr. Abdul Haq Baker, Jordan M, if you do,
Yeah.
ask him about this group that Shamsi just mentioned.
The Moors.
Murabitun. That
Okay.
particular name. Murabitun.
Murabitun.
Yeah. If you can write that down or keep a note of it, because he knows there was a group in the UK called Murabitun who were he had some experience with them in his mosque. So you can
Was this Brixton?
yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's get back to it.
Nigeria,
Yeah.
Ghana,
Yeah.
all of that, it was Murabitin. Also, they went to Spain, yeah?
Yeah.
But what I've noticed, some black brothers is what they do.
Yeah.
They make it seem that all of them just were black. No, there were some black Arabs as well. The proof of that, when the Prophet Muhammad, or the Sahabi, Sa'd ibn Mu'adh, he was a black.
He's the
He was
descendants
a
of black though. Prophet
Yeah,
peace upon him.
No, I don't know about it.
Are you sure? What was the name of the tribe that he's from then?
Abdul Muttalib.
The tribe?
Yeah, Abdul Muttalib. Hashim.
Hashim.
Yeah, Hashim.
Yeah, the
Hashim.
Hashemites.
Yeah.
Are you sure? They're descendants, bro.
Which
They
black?
come
Which
from
black? Which black? Anyway,
Jordan. You see?
No,
Yeah,
look.
bro. You see Jordan. You see Petra.
Listen,
You see
bro.
Petra, brother.
Yeah,
I thought he was talking about you there. Okay.
I know what step by step for you to understand, yeah? Arabs, they differ. Some of them are dark skin, light skin, but they're still Arabs, okay? So, yeah, so they're different light skin, they're different skin color.
Hold on. The Ishmaelites, yeah, are Arabs. You would say descendants, innit? Yeah.
The Arabs different descent
Now,
from Ishmaelites. yes.
obviously, the Ishmael, obviously Ishmael's mum was obviously black, innit? Yeah.
How do you know?
What do you mean?
She was black in it. Right.
Yeah.
And everyone's just nodding their head. But
Well, Shamsi's not.
managed to
Shamsi's
jump
not.
in. Yeah.
She was from Egypt.
She was a slave. She was not from Egypt.
And this is what I'm saying about. Listen,
She was not from Egypt.
come in the Quran. Yes, please.
She was not from Egypt.
She was, bro.
No, she was a slave in Egypt.
No.
She was a
no,
slave.
no, no,
The
no,
proof
no.
of that, Pharaoh.
I disagree
Yeah,
with
no,
that.
she was a slave, and it was given
need
to her.
to bring me proof to say
Yeah,
that, though.
she was a servant amongst
how can
Pharaoh,
you say that, though?
and Pharaoh gave it to Abraham as a servant.
How
You know,
can you say that, though? How can
that's
you
what the history says. She
Where
was a
though?
servant.
Where's she
Yeah.
from? How can you say
I don't
that?
know where she's from, but
Everyone should be careful when we say things about people and we don't know the full thing. Because I don't believe she's a slave. I believe
she was a servant. She was a servant.
she was the
She was-
daughter of the Pharaoh.
No, she was not.
Are you sure?
Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh will not give his daughter to be servant to someone else.
Are you sure, though?
Yeah, because she was servant to Abraham. It's known.
But how long was Abraham and Sarah in Egypt for?
How long has passed? I don't know. But
It's
sorry,
there,
sorry.
it's in the
No, but also, what you have to understand, Akhi,
Yeah, go on.
people when they speak about Egypt, they think Egypt is the same Egypt what we're talking about now. No, Egypt back in those days is a different way. Or it's different because Egypt splits up. But some people when they speak about Egypt, they think Egypt our time. The borders, this border new was done by Americans, British, and French. Okay,
I know
so
Egypt
Egypt is
back then,
it's different than our time. You have to understand that. Okay, and it was
Yeah,
split.
yeah.
It was the east and the north, or something like that. If I don't remember exactly. But the point here is, Akhi, even if it was a black, so
Now, when you
doesn't
say
mean nothing to me.
Yeah, exactly. Who cares?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole conversation, I think.
Is this what it's all about? The whole video, like,
Yeah, but I think look, from a black person's perspective, when people talk about black people in Islam, everyone refers to Bilal when they start talking about he was a slave and he was allowed to become. And there are many black great people in Islamic history that aren't talked about. So I do kind of get when, you know, especially the Black brothers are asking, you know, why doesn't anyone speak about these?
Yeah, why isn't it?
Why is it only Bilal the slave that's mentioned?
Yeah, I get you. Well, I suppose there's a difference in that Bilal was from Habasha. He was from Ethiopia. So he would be considered Ethiopian African. Whereas, what's it called? Whereas some of the Sahabas that he's mentioning
It's just
are
darker skin, isn't
Black
it?
Arab.
Yeah.
It's not, so one's African and one's Arab. So
Yeah.
Arab, even if somebody's black, they would consider them their just another Arab tribe. They don't really look at the race so much.
Yeah.
Unless
I
it's
think I'm like you. I'll listen to this debate and go, who actually cares? Who cares what color they all were?
Yeah, exactly. I don't understand the focus on so let me just search. What's his name? YSO asked if I could play a video as well. So this is Asim Al Hakim. Called again? I don't remember the title. Let's say brother. No, that's not it. Let's say calling. Saw this the other day. Is it haram to call non-Muslims our brothers and sisters?
Mm-hmm.
And can we call non-Muslims kafirs? Okay, let's take a look.
The second questioner says, is it haram to call non-Muslims our brothers and sisters? And can we call non-Muslims kafirs? First of all, Allah says in Surah Al-Hujurat, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةً. Verily, the believers are brothers. So our brotherhood can be attributed to religion, can be attributed to lineage. He's my blood brother. He's my sibling, and can be attributed to the country that we are living in. We're sharing the same region. We're sharing the same tribe. However, brotherhood is mainly focused on Islamic orientation. So it is not permissible for me to call a Christian or a Hindu brother, especially when debating or communicating.
So you say it's not permissible to call them brother.
I say, brother. I can say Mr. I can say any other name that does not give the impression of closeness and brotherhood, because he's not my brother. My true brother is any Muslim, whether he's in China, in Bangladesh, in Arabia, or in Europe, or in the Americas. He is my true brother as indicated in the Quran. So it is not permissible to call non-Muslims as a brother or a sister. As for calling non-Muslims kafir, kafir is a description. In Arabic, it means a disbeliever. So I, as a Muslim, to the Christians, I'm a kafir because I disbelieve in their religion. None of them would say you are a believer.
Yeah, the Christians would typically call Muslims infidels.
Yeah, I agree with what he's saying there. I agree with what he's saying there. All of it.
Yeah.
What's the purpose of playing the video?
Why so wanted to see it?
You made a claim on your live stream that the hadith "want for your brother as you want for yourself," that the scholars say is about brothers in humanity.
Mm-hmm.
You remember? Because
this isn't talking about your claim. Your claim was that Muslims curse Jews and Christians. It was nothing to do with calling each other brother.
No, that was an offshoot of the original topic, because
that's what you said when you came on. I was refuting that.
No, listen. No, I didn't come on. I didn't come on your panel that day. It was just you, and I was in the chat because
yes,
you said brother to a non-Muslim, and I asked if it's about if Muslims follow Quran and Sunnah. Reactionaries heard me use this argument before. If it's about Quran and Sunnah, can you point to a point in the Sunnah where Muhammad or the companions call a non-Muslim brother? And then
I don't call non-Muslims brothers or Christians brother. I didn't even make that claim.
Then okay, Well, the stream is down, so I guess we'll have to take your
I
word
can
for
put it back
But
up.
then
No, do you remember you were saying that we curse Jews and Christians, and I said to you
that was after
right.
that. Wait a second. Let's follow this. Let's follow this how it is. So then you claim that scholars say that the hadith won't for your brother as you won't for yourself stands for brothers in humanity, and your whole chat sided with me.
Yes, that's
Now,
my understanding.
Well, it's okay. I still would ask you the question though, where in the Quran or the Sunnah does Muhammad or the Sahaba, the companions, call a non-Muslim brother? In fact, when they traveled on Hijrah, the Ansar helped them. And Muhammad didn't call them brother until they converted. He called them the helpers. When Noah's son traveled the mountain to try to get away from the floods of Allah, Noah calls out and asks, "Oh Allah, will you save him? He is my son." And Allah says, "He is not of your family." So he is making a clear distinction that even with blood relatives, at some point you cut the line of brotherhood because it's about faith. Now there's more about this, obviously. So if you want, we can get into the Jews and the Christians. We can do that too, because it is called. You can just read all over the hadith for one. Here's a hadith just off the top of my head. May Allah, Muhammad said, "May Allah curse the Jews and Christians for building churches and temples on top of graves." Now that's just one. Now you can also go to all over the tafsirs where they constantly will say, "May the curse of Allah be on the Jews and Christians," and this is a common theme inside of Islam. Now, your argument then became, well, we can marry Jews, we can marry people of the book, Jews and Christians. So are you saying that we're supposed to curse the people that we marry? Well, yeah. What difference does that make? It's like, I mean, if angels can curse a woman for not going to bed with her husband, why can't you curse them for the sake of Allah?
I think we got you brought a lot of evidence there actually to go through. So Jordan, do you dispute any of that?
So yeah, the first point was, so I think loving what you want for your brother, what he loves for himself. I think my understanding is that does mean for in terms of humanity in that particular hadith. Now I don't speak Arabic, so what words were used?
Sorry. You're saying it means loving for humanity, what you want for yourself.
For your brother in humanity, yes.
But here's the main thing. You made a claim that these scholars, you didn't give any. I gave a list of scholars when you ended the stream. I started putting in the chat various scholars and links just for you to delete it. So can you tell me your scholars that say this? Because that is a pretty big claim, being like, oh, there's scholars who say this. Are you talking like Mufti Meek? Because he does propagate this idea. But I don't know if you consider him a scholar for your belief system or not.
Well, you came on initially. This is my understanding of what happened in that live stream. You came on initially and said that Muslims curse Jews and Christians. Why you came on?
That was not the initial. That was not the initial conversation.
One sec, why so?
So I brought a couple of things against that claim that you made, and then I think it went into other things. Yeah, and I definitely talked about
that. Wasn't the initial conversation, but also, so you just skipped over my question. Can you bring these scholars that you claim? Because you said these scholars as if it is it's jihad, right? And it's jima. Like it is a consensus, it's an overall view of the scholars, of the sheikhs, that that this hadith means brothers in humanity. So, and then the thing is like everybody in your chat just instantly believes you. You don't think that that's an issue either? But I guess we'll stick to that one topic. Can you bring the sheikhs that you follow, that you hold important, that actually support this interpretation of the hadith?
Okay, what do you want me to go now and get stuff for you and bring it for you? Is that what you want?
Well, I
Reactionary?
mean, well, really, it wouldn't be for me, right? It would be for your audience, because you're not misguiding me on Islam.
No, but
you're misguiding your audience about what Islam really teaches. That's the issue, right? That you
Which
can ask
hadith is this? The
reactionary,
one that whoever wants.
the one that
what
says
was the
love
hadith?
for your brother what you love for yourself.
but you
Okay,
can ask for you
none
can
of you
ask
believe until
reactionary.
he loves his brother what he wants himself. That one.
Yeah.
Yes,
You mean
my position has always been that the whole point that I come on panels and stuff is that a lot of times people, and even with Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, it doesn't matter what it is. If you're teaching the wrong religion to people, then that's an issue. To me personally, I think that the religion should be taught how it is, because right there you just gave a misguidance to people, just baselessness, and you didn't even like.
So we get. I think you made your point.
Yeah, it's
go on,
sounding
John.
a bit obsessive, bro. Just calm down a bit. We have a Actually, what's your understanding of that hadith? Let me try and get the.
I've never heard that explanation before. That,
but you've know the hadith, right?
For humanity, what you want for yourself. Let's look it up. So if I go to Google,
Like I said, this was originally in response to Wyso, who just came onto my stream saying that we curse Jews and Christians.
That's not how the conversation started.
Calm down. That's what you came on initially and said. And
no,
so
listen, no, because first thing, I never came on. I was in your chat. There's a total difference when you're talking about
you came
these
onto
type
the
of things,
channel.
right? So that's a totally different thing. I'm on the channel right now on Reactionaries. Being in the chat is not on the channel. But we don't have to worry about that.
Why so? Can you relax a little bit? Like this doesn't need to be in this sort of tone, does it? If you want, we can turn it into this sort of tone, but just chill out. We're on Reactionaries stream.
So it's not about the Jews and Christians.
So you're coming on because you're genuinely worried about me misguiding my subs. That's why you're there, yeah? That's why you've come on.
You're making claims, and then when I'm trying to and then you even put the challenge to me, right? You're like, oh well, then yeah, if you make a video, yeah, this and that, I won't take it down, and that's fine, that's great. But I start leaving evidences, and you make claims, and you don't have to back them up. Like that's where the issue really is to start, and then it goes down to you have a following of people who will just agree with you, like, and then you even did a short video the other day, like, are you a sheikh, are you an imam, are you a scholar, shut the hell up. You are actually going against exactly what you made a video about.
Okay. Hello? Anyone there?
Hello. Yeah.
I'm listening. I'm just muting up.
Oh, okay. So I'm just looking up as well. Jordan, are you looking it up or?
Yeah. So to be honest, the couple of things I've looked at so far actually agree with Wyso. Let me.
And that's the thing, man, is that what it is with me is I always get called that I'm just Islamophobe. I'm bringing false Islam and stuff. But I try to cite sources, and then channels will delete comments or ban me or this and that. But then on these platforms, it's like people will just believe it. So who's in the right here is like, it's kind of like what I said about Zobeda taking down that channel when it was talking about the verdicts on homosexuals. Why should anybody trust a person who takes down the true deen? It doesn't matter if it's an Islamophobic channel or Islamophobe that brings the information. If it's the true deen, you should want it out there for people to learn it.
Okay, just in the meantime, while we're looking it up, I found something.
I've got
go on.
You go first.
Okay, it's a clip of Uthman al-Khamis from Kuwait. Let's see what he says on this.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحديث الثالث عشر عن أبي حمزة أنس بن مالك عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. متفق عليه. أنس بن مالك هو أنس بن مالك بن النضر الخزرجي رضي الله عنه. أسلم صغيرا، خدم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 سنوات، ودعا له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بكثرة المال والولد والبركة. أنس أول ما هاجر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إلى المدينة كان عمره 10 سنوات، وأخذته أمه إلى النبي.
So he's talking about this hadith which was reported by Anas, who did hijrah with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam when he was the age of 10. He was 10 years old, and accompanied the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on his hijrah to Medina.
قالت هذا أنس يخدمك، فظل خادما للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 سنوات إلى أن توفي النبي صلوات ربي وسلامه عليه. دعا له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بكثرة المال وكثرة الولد والبركة، حتى قال أنه كان يعد 100 من أولاده وأولاد أولاده رضي الله عنه وأرضاه.
And he served the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from that point till he died. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for this man that he would be blessed with barakah, for blessings in his children. Well, the man and his wealth. The man upon dying had over 100 children, it's said.
بلغت مروياته 68 و200 و2000، وهو من المكثرين. أكثر راوي عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من الأنصار أنس بن مالك.
From among the Ansars, also he was an Ansar. Sorry.
Actually, I've got something here from the 40 hadith, which obviously one of the first books I read.
Yeah.
And that is talking about it also meaning brothers in humanity for that exact hadith.
Okay, good. So yeah, we can all learn something here, and inshallah we'll read that in a moment. Let's just because I think he mentions that as well. So
I think the context is in the society we live in today. I think it's different
Go
between
ahead.
then and now. So
do you want to read it? Go ahead.
The bit I've got, let me have a look. This means it's not just to love Muslims, but all of humanity. Therefore, the person to receive true faith is that they love their brother in humanity, Muslim or non-Muslim, what they love for themselves. This is very high level of spirituality and selflessness for the true believer.
Okay, and who
is that commentary?
So I got this from the 40 Hadith Nawawi. Now, whether that's from the actual book that they've put here.
But who's the commentary that gave that interpretation is the question.
Yeah.
There's actually a video above it. On authority of Abu Hamza Anas bin Malik.
Yeah. That's Anas.
That's the Hadith. I guess this is obviously a written commentary compiled by volunteers using Jamal Diwan's audio commentary above the English translation of Ibn Daqiq al-Id's commentary of the 40 Hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. Are you happy with that? Why so?
So that's a big name to bring up.
What name?
Look, you came on all shouting. You came on all shouting and saying I'm misguiding my subs. I've just come on and refuted you with one little Google search. So you need to pipe down, don't you? You need to pipe down.
No, that's not
before
a
you jump on a panel
right?
all confident.
That's not a
you came onto my stream talking about Muslims cursing Jews and Christians. I used this one hadith of many to prove you wrong.
How is that? Wait, so that's
and
not
look,
a
this is what we 2 weeks later, and you're on the panel crying about it.
There's 4 madhabs inside of Islam, right? So you brought one of the madhab's essential founders, right? Malik. Now you could say that, right? But that doesn't mean anything.
No.
Because you could.
Sorry, Weisel, give me a sec, please, if you don't mind. I didn't hear Imam Malik. What I wanted to know is who gave that commentary. It wasn't clear to me. It said some volunteers. That's what I heard.
That was the,
okay. So then, when he said Malik, he was saying.
Wait, one sec, bro. One sec.
Okay.
It's written commentary compiled by volunteers, utilizing Sheikh Jamal Dawan's audio commentary above an English translation of Ibn Daqiq al-Id's commentary.
Yeah, Jamal who?
Jamal Diwan. So this obviously the audio.
Yeah.
So that's not a refutation.
Right. Well, we'll come back to that then in a sec, right? But right now, let's hear, because I believe it's mentioned here, and this may support your position or your comment, the book you're referring to. We'll see what he has to say. Okay, let's just be a little bit patient with this one. So the one who narrated more hadith than anybody else from amongst the Ansar was Anas bin Malik. And from the Muhajirs, the greatest narrator of hadiths was Abu Hurairah.
مجمعين. توفي في البصرة سنة 92. توفي في البصرة سنة 2.
So basically, he's introducing the audience to who the narrator of the hadith is, right? That's what you do in an explanation. You go like bit by bit. Let me go forward slightly.
بحضرة طعام أي لا صلاة كاملة. وهنا أيضا لا إيمان كامل. لا إيمان كامل. وعندما ينفي الإيمان معناها أن الأمر واجب.
So here he's talking about what does it mean when the hadith says he has not believed who does not do such and such. What's meant by the word iman? Is it complete iman, or is the iman sort of incomplete? So let me move forward a bit more.
الإسلام سبحانه وتعالى. وجوب محبة الخير للغير. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه. قال أهل العلم نفي الإيمان لا يكون لنفي شيء مستحب. إذا يجب أن تحب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك.
So yeah, what he said here is one of the benefits of the hadith is wanting good for other than yourself, right? Lil ghayr, that means other than yourself. So this principle is taken also from this hadith, because the hadith says wanting good for your brother, right? That means other than yourself. So let's see how he breaks it down further in a moment. Let me just go back a little bit more.
علمي نفي الإيمان لا يكون لنفي شيء مستحب. إذا يجب أن تحب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك. يشمل هذا الاعتقاد والقول والعمل، وهذا واجب، يعني تحب له هذا، تعتقد ذلك وتفعل ذلك وتقول ذلك، أنك تحب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك. أما أمور الدنيا فأمرها مستحب، لأن الإيثار بها مستحب، يعني تقدمه على نفسك. أحيانا الإنسان يقدم غيره على نفسه، أما في أمور الدين فلا يقدمه على نفسه. يعني مثلا في الصف الأول ما ترجع تقول تفضل أخذ الصف الأول، لا إيثار في الطاعات، لا إيثار في الطاعات. استثنى بعض أهل العلم إذا كان الذي خلفك أبوك مثلا.
Okay, so he's saying that with regards to matters of the dunya, right, you should want for your brother what you want for yourself. You can give them more than what you want for yourself. You can prefer them over yourself. But in the matters of the deen, you should put yourself first. So for example, if you're going to go to the front row of prayer, you should put yourself at the front row. Yeah, you prioritize yourself. So let's see.
إذا كان أبوك خلفك فقالوا لا بأس أن تعطيه مكانك في الصلاة. وبعضهم قال إذا كان شيخك أيضا خلفك قالوا كذلك لا مانع أن تقدمه، لكن على الشيخ أن يمتنع، عليه أن يمتنع من قبول هذه الهدية.
Oh, an interesting point here is that an exception would be like your father. You could put him to stand in front of you, or an elderly man to stand in front of you. But that's just out of kindness to the elderly. But the elder person should refuse if you offer them, right? It's upon them to refuse that. Okay.
وهي أن يؤثره على نفسه في المكان، أما يوسع له هذا أمر للجميع، هذا لكن نتكلم عن الإيثار، يؤثره على نفسه يقدمه عليها. الإخوة عندما يقول لا يؤمن حتى يحب لأخيه، هذه.
Okay, now he's talking about the word brother, right? This is the key point now.
Reactionary. I've got what Imam Nawawi actually said about the.
So, all right.
He just said that this is so it includes the disbeliever and person of Tawheed. So he loves for his disbelieving brother what he loves for himself in terms of entering into the fold of Islam.
Got it.
You can love for your brother that, I could love for why so religious that he becomes Muslim.
Okay. Well, we'll come to that. So you're saying that Imam Nawawi refers to, how does he interpret the word akh in this sense?
What, brother?
Yeah, he says brothers in humanity.
Let's see what it's saying.
I think they might, in Arabic it might be al-ukhuwa al-bashariyya.
The hadith is generality of brotherhood. So they're not actually saying brother is in like we would use for a Muslim brother. It's actually a different term.
Good. All right. So we'll come to that then. Let's see what this sheikh says as well.
نعمة من نعم الله تبارك وتعالى. قال الله جل وعلا واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم إذ كنتم أعداء فألف بين قلوبكم فأصبحتم بنعمته إخوانا.
Okay. So he's using a verse from the Quran where Allah described what's meant by brother, right? So you should be grateful to Allah. So واذكروا نعمة الله عليكم. So remember the grace of Allah upon you, the blessing of Allah upon you, when you used to be enemies to each other, and Allah joined your hearts, and you became brothers. Okay, you became brothers. Allah joined your hearts, and you became brothers. Now, what does he mean by this?
نعمة فضل من الله تبارك وتعالى أن تكون الأخوة. وكان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أول ما هاجر إلى المدينة صلى الله عليه وسلم آخى بين المهاجر والأنصار وكانوا يتوارثون.
Yeah, and when the Prophet, when the migration to Medina happened, the Prophet ﷺ made the muhajirs, the migrants, and the helpers of Medina, he made them brothers. He called them, he paired them up as brothers, and they would inherit from each other. So
إذا مات الأنصار يرث المهاجري وإذا مات المهاجري أورثه الأنصاري حتى نزل قول الله تبارك وتعالى وأولو الأرحام بعضهم أولى ببعض في كتاب الله فصار الناس يتوارثون بالنسب. وإلا كان في أول ما آخى النبي بين المهاجر والأنصار كانوا يتوارثون بالمؤاخاة التي جعلها بينهم النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما الأخوة عمليا قال الفضيل بن عياض لسفيان بن عيينة: إن كنت تريد أن يكون الناس مثلك فما أديت لله الكريم النصيحة، فكيف وأنت تود أنهم دونك؟ شوف، يعني يقول إذا كنت تحب الناس يرون مثلك، مو هذه النصيحة، النصيحة تحب الناس يرون أحسن منك، تحب الناس يرون أحسن منك، هذه النصيحة الحق.
Okay, he's saying if you want people to be like you, that's not a true nasiha. A true nasiha is you want people to be better than you, better off than you.
فكيف إذا كنت ترى أنهم يكونون دونك، تبي أنت البارز، تبي أنت اللي كذا، هذا كيف تكون أديت؟ ما أديت النصيحة للناس. عندنا مثل يقول إنسان ما يحب أحد يكون أحسن منه إلا ولده، وذاك إذا بشر أحدهم بولد يقال له إيه؟ عسى أفضل من أبيه، عسى أن يكون أفضل من أبيه، يقول آمين. الأبو يقول آمين، يقول عسى جارك يصير أحسن منك. ليش؟ طيب جارك مثل أحب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك، أو أحسن ما تحب لنفسك، فلا يقبل إلا الابن. إلا شايب أنا قالوا لي عنه، قال عسى هبرك من أبوه، يقول عن ولده، قال لي خسر عسى يطلع يشربه شايف نفسه هذا شوي بزوده. فعلى كل حال قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. قال عبد الله بن عمر: كنا في زمن لا يعرف أحد منا فضل درهم على أخيه، يعني اللي بجيب لك، اللي بجيب لك أبد لا يعرف فضل درهم على أخيه، ونحن في زمان.
So Abdullah bin Umar said that we lived in a time where a person wouldn't want to have more than his brother. He would give the other person, right? He wouldn't want to be seen having more than his brother, so he would give. But now we live in a time where
درهم الرجل أعز من أخيه وأبيه.
Yeah, now we live in a time where the money a person possesses is more beloved to him than even his brother and his father.
كان هذا زمننا. إيه، يسجن والده، يسجن أخاه على درهم ودينار وكذا، أعز عليه هذا الدرهم هذا الدينار من أمه وأبيه والعياذ بالله. المؤمن مع المؤمن كالنفس الواحدة، يحب له ما يحب لنفسه، كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: إذا اشتكى منه عضو تداعى له سائر.
So he said the believer to the believer, they're like a body, one or a wall. One part supports the other. Okay, or a building, one part supports the other. So he's using the believer context at the moment.
سائر الجسد بالسهر والحمى في رواية بالحمى والسهر. قال الله تبارك وتعالى، هذه الآية جميلة جدا وكل القرآن جميل، لكن انظروا إلى معنى هذه الآية: وليخشى الذين لو تركوا من خلفهم ذرية ضعافا خافوا عليه فليتقوا الله وليقولوا قولا سديدا. يقول كما أنك احذر أن تعتدي على أموال اليتامى إن الذين يأكلون أنت مت وعيالك صاروا يتامى، ودك يتسلط عليهم واحد يأكل أموالهم، ولا ودك يكون واحد يحفظ لهم أموالهم؟ احفظ أموال اليتامى كما تحب أن يحفظ الناس أموال أيتامك لو كنت أنت الميت. دائما ضع نفسك مكانه، لا يمنع حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحبه لنفسه، ضع نفسك مكانه باختصار. نعم، معنى حتى يحب لأخيه، يحب يعني إلى أن يحب، الغاية. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: من أحب أن يزحزح عن النار ويدخل الجنة فلتأته منيته وهو يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر وليأتي.
You just explain what the word yuhib means here. Yuhib could mean whoever prefers for his brother or whoever loves for his brother. Yeah, what is just explaining that.
الناس ما يحب أن يؤتى له، يأتي إلى الناس ما يحب أن يؤتى له أو إليه. هذا رقي، هذا رقي في الناس. يعني الآن واحد يبيع سيارته مثلا يخفي عيوبها، لماذا أخفيت عيوبها؟ قال إذا أظهرت عيوبها يمكن ما يشترونها وكذا، وخليه يفحص إن شاء الله يبين إذا لقى شيء ما في مشكلة. طيب أخبره بهذه العيوب، يفحص إذا لقى عيوب ما في عندي مشكلة. طيب لو أنت تبي تشتري السيارة ودك يقول لك ولا ما ودك؟ ولا على الفحص؟ قال لا والله ودي، يقول لي أحب لأخيك ما تحبه. يفسك، انتهى الأمر، انتهى الأمر، حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحبه لنفسه.
Yes, he was just giving lots of examples there. For example, if you're selling a car, and it's got a problem, should you tell the buyer that there's a problem with it? Yes, of course. But he didn't explain different meanings of the word akhuwa. Okay, which would have been good. I thought I'd read something there about it, but he didn't seem to say it. So, yeah. But from what he described there, he was talking about the Muslim being the brother to another Muslim, or a believer, should we say. And that's why he talked about when the Prophet ﷺ did hijrah to Medina, he paired the migrants with the helpers and made them brothers to one another. He didn't do that with the kuffar. He didn't make them brothers to the Jews. There were Jews in Medina as well. He didn't make them brothers with the Jews. But,
I mean, I could make more Islamic arguments, but then it would borderline on people saying that he's catering to the kuffar and this and that. But like, it's just, and Jordan, maybe you're right. I'm trying to rethink. Maybe I did bring up the cursed Jews and Christians first. I don't remember exactly. Okay, then I was wrong then. That on the conversation that I just said, I thought that it started with brothers in humanity, and if I'm wrong, I apologize. I wasn't trying to say that you were wrong. Just maybe it's been a couple of weeks and I remembered it wrong.
All right. Look, the context of from my understanding of hadith, I'm not a liberal Muslim where I'm saying that, you know, Muslims treat non-Muslims the same. I was using that opinion to go against your claim that we curse kuffar or Christians or Jews. You know, there's definitely is obviously a brotherhood within Islam and Ummah that's clear in our scriptures. But then we can also love for non-Muslims what we love for ourselves in many ways, and that's why we do dawah. And so that's why I was using that.
So I guess the next thing would be to look up, are Muslims supposed to call for the curse of the Jews and Christians from Allah? Because the tafsirs are riddled with, just like it will start out as an explanation before it even gives what the meaning of the verse is at times. And it will say, may Allah's curse be on the Jews and Christians. Just kind of like, you know, if that's why you went to that way. And I still don't think that would actually, even if what I said was wrong, which I'm pretty sure it isn't, it wouldn't help your argument about brothers in humanity, because brothers in humanity is a very specific claim that has come out just probably in the recent like decade to 2 decades of Islam. First person I've heard say it was Mufti Mink in a video that's about 8 years old. And, you know, and most people would not consider Mufti Mink as like the shape to follow, I would say. But I just think
the thing is, why so is you're just looking at hadith, like even the word brother. I think we actually mentioned there are different words used and stuff like that. You're just using the English and making your own interpretation of it. So you're always going to come up looking a bit silly in these.
How did I look silly?
Well, even there, it was clear you just pushed you asserted what you thought onto that hadith.
No, wait, I've even, like I said, I've given links, I've given quotes from scholars. And then I would say you looked silly, where you even quoted the person when I asked for who gave the commentary on that hadith that you read out saying that it means in humanity. You cited the person who's attributed to the works instead of saying the volunteers. I would say that looks sillier than me being able to...
It says the volunteers compiled, and that's what I read.
But I asked who the commentary was from, because that's what
I read out the entire sentence. So yeah, my apologies for that if that confused you.
That's not a confusion. That's okay. So, okay, you're saying I look silly. Maybe I do. I don't understand how, because it seems like you even said everything on your Google search for the first couple of minutes. You said everything that you're looking up agrees with why so. You said that earlier. So
yeah, there are definitely opinions on that hadith that it means Muslim. But you're the one that's come on and said that I'm categorically wrong and misguiding people.
You know, there is a verse in the Quran where Allah said, فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ عَدُوٌّ لِلْكَافِرِينَ. This means that verily Allah is an enemy to the disbelievers.
Sorry?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you say that again?
Yeah, so there's a verse in the Quran where Allah said, verily Allah is an enemy to the disbelievers. And I agree in that we want good for everybody. Like you find verses in the Quran where Allah says, Ya ayyuhan nas, O people. Yeah, O you people. That includes kuffar, it includes everybody, right? But
And I would say that you could just this concept of just as a philosophical concept of the theology of Islam. When people try to say, and then they try to say, oh, we're sons of Adam. We're all sons of Adam. Well, I mean, or children of Adam, which is a term used in the Quran at times. But it is an offshoot from talking about the believers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not really always putting them together. But to get back, Allah made Adam a believer, right? So then when you look at Noah and his sons, and they're like, what is it? Cain and Abel, right? What does Abel say? I will not strike you because of my fear from Allah, essentially, because I fear Allah. Cain, as a person who is a believer, right? So he calls him brother in that verse, but then when he strikes him, he leaves the fold of Islam and is no longer a brother at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's different ways to philosophically look at this throughout the theology of Islam, but I don't think any of them support the concept of humanity, brother in humanity.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Obviously, from a Muslim point of view, Islam is humanity itself. If we start from Adam, the first man, and what God told him to do, and the criteria for how Adam's supposed to view the world, yeah, which is, I would say, still present in Islamic thinking, like, or Islamic sciences. It's a criteria, it's a way of thinking, it's an algorithm, yeah. We have our own logic, right? Because our reality, our existence is dictated by our by the objective morality that we have, right? Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, basically, what I'm trying to cut a long story short, yeah, what I'm trying to say is, no matter how much someone like YSO studies and learns Islam, because he's not employing the correct criteria, the information that he has will never be clear to him. All that will happen is that he'll keep seeing things that he thinks are contradictions, and people will explain it to him, and he'll just find another contradiction. And in reality, those things aren't contradictions. But I'm saying, in his reality it is, in our reality isn't. We're obviously living two different realities.
What does that have to do with this topic?
What I'm trying to say is, you're generating questions that are coming from a position of doubt and a position of critique, or a negative, like, it's like a confirmation bias. It's just like you're adding more negativity onto more negativity. But what I'm saying is, someone like Jordan, for example, even though I didn't know Jordan before he was a Muslim, the methodology that he employs, I could never imagine Jordan not being a Muslim. Like, the methodology that he employs, he'll always arrive at the truth. He'll always arrive at Islam.
Even when he's wrong.
Arrive at humanity, but it's not wrong.
How is it wrong? We just went over that it's wrong, that what he said was wrong. What you did was you tried to flip the conversation onto me.
No, I'm not trying to do anything.
Let me explain.
I'm just showing you
what just happened. So you
nothing happened. Nothing happened. Nothing has happened.
You just jumped on here to try to flip the conversation onto me
on.
because I'm non-Muslim.
But why so? No, it's not like that.
So I can never be correct.
Why so? Let me just 1 minute. Why so? Let me just say. This isn't a personal attack. There are Muslims that employ, or so-called Muslims that employ, the same criteria for the evaluation as you do. And they're the Muslims that will always come into doubt, always come into problems. Like, there are Muslims out there that think like you. Like, it's just,
this has nothing to do with conversation.
I know that. I'm just saying what I see. What I see
So you just came on here to divert the conversation.
No.
This Captain Save Jordan M?
No, I'm just saying, like, people like Jordan, they deserve respect, and they deserve look, there's a
How
Turkish
have I
saying.
disrespected
One
Jordan
minute. I'm not saying you have. I'm saying I'm coming here to show Jordan respect. What I'm saying is, there's a Turkish saying, yeah. Only the jeweler can recognize gold when he sees it. In other words, you have to be one to know one. And I think when Jordan speaks, and I see Jordan speaking, I can see the underlying methodology that he's using. Rather than, obviously, I'm not on that level. I don't have that knowledge, right? I've not read as much as Jordan or even you, Waiso. But what I'm saying is, I can see the underlying thought processes, the methodology that he's using. Do you understand what I'm trying to say to you?
But that doesn't make it true.
He's just running a different algorithm than you are.
No, that doesn't. No, you see, it's funny that you use algorithm, because if you change the algorithm, it doesn't work the same way, right? You don't get the same
That's what I'm trying to say.
So,
That's what I'm trying to say.
There's an Islamic algorithm, and if you try to change that, then it's bid'ah, it's innovation, right? Because the outcome's not going to be the same as the Salaf. So when you try to make this analogy, you're actually saying that it's okay to have multiple algorithms inside of Islam as long as the person believes. But it doesn't matter why so that you have the correct algorithm, because you're missing the component of the outcome will be true. That's your analogy, and that's why it falls on its face. It's strange how you came on here, didn't address any of the points, and you just want to try to say, well, why so is a disbeliever? It doesn't matter if he actually learns and can and tell you when you're right or wrong, because a person's faith guides them no matter what.
No. What I'm saying, why so? I'm not criticizing you. I'm saying, even if you weren't talking about Islam and was talking about something completely different, you're a skeptic. You're always going to take the position that you're taking now. And you're always going to run the thought process that you're running now.
You don't know that.
Talking about Islam, it's a fact.
But you don't know the future.
Because Islam divides, hold on, Islam divides the believer from the skeptic, and you're the skeptic.
Let's stop you right there. Also, Allah says that in the Quran that the Muslims are the ones who ponder. So that's kind of like a form of skepticism. Secondly, you don't know.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Listen,
no, it's not.
You also don't know if I'm never going to be guided by Allah. So why are you sitting here making a claim that you know the future?
It's true.
I've not said that. I've not said that
you just said it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I said the person who you are today, the manifestation of yourself, who you are now.
Words.
Okay, just a short interruption. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. I'll go on mute for a bit and listen to more.
All right. So Ibn Baz was asked about this question as well, because there was a newspaper article many years ago, and in his answer he said, "La ukhuwa wala mahabba bain al-muslimin wal-kafirin." There is no concept of like brotherhood between Muslims and Kafirs. إنما ذلك بين المسلمين أنفسهم. This is restricted only to Muslims amongst themselves. Muslims amongst themselves. وأنه لا اتحاد بين الدينين الإسلامي والنصراني. And there is no convergence between Islam and Christianity. Because what was happening in this news article, they were trying to say we should have one global religion. We should merge Christianity and Islam. Right? So what he was saying is this is not acceptable in Islam, because the Islamic religion is the truth. It is the haqq.
100%.
And it's the haqq.
I agree with that.
Yeah, obligatory upon all of the people of the earth and the jinn as well, all of mankind basically. As for Christianity,
what's wrong with that though?
Yeah, as for Christianity, it is disbelief. Yeah, it's disbelief or unbelief, whatever the common word is now, and it's also misguidance, as the Quran, and it's misguidance from the Book of Allah, the Quran, and from the evidence of this is Allah's statement, Subhanahu wa Taala, in Surah Al-Hujurat, and this was mentioned by Asim Hakim as well. The verse says, "A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Innamal mu'minuna ikhwa." Verily, only the believers are brothers to each other.
Exactly.
So make peace, or make peace between your brothers. And Allah Azza wa Jal said in Surah Al-Mumtahina, قَدْ كَانَتْ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ. You have in the Prophet Abraham a perfect example, a very an excellent example. وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ, in Ibrahim and those who were with him. إِذْ قَالُوا لِقَوْمِهِمْ, when they said to their people, verily we are free from you, and we are free from that which you worship besides Allah. We have disbelieved in you, and there has entered between us and you enmity and opposition. Forever, until when? Until you believe in Allah alone, until you worship Allah alone, basically. لا تجد قوما يؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر يوادون من حاد الله ورسوله. You will not find a people who believe in Allah and the last day having love for those who oppose Allah and His Messenger, even if they're their parents, their brothers, even if they're their parents, their sons, their brothers, their close ones, or their family. Allah has written upon their hearts Iman, and He has helped them with a spirit from Himself, and He will enter them into paradise, Jannatin tajri, into gardens under which flow rivers.
Sorry to interrupt you.
To live forever. Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with Him. They are the party of Allah, and they are the successful.
Does this give you goosebumps? Like I've got goosebumps right now. It's beautiful.
In this verse, Allah said, and the believers, the believing men and the believing women, they are supporters and helpers for one another. أولئك بعض أولياء بعض وما يتولهم منكم فإنه منهم. And whoever takes them, meaning the disbelievers, as helpers and brothers, then he is from them. Verily, Allah does not guide a people who are wrongdoers. Allah also said, verily, the only religion in the sight of Allah, the only true religion, is al-Islam. And whoever seeks a religion other than Islam as a religion, it will never be accepted of him, and he will be in the hereafter amongst the losers. Allah said, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الْمَسِيحُ بِنُ مَرْيَمَ. Verily they have disbelieved, meaning the ones who say that Allah is the Messiah, the son of Maryam, the son of Mary, meaning Jesus. The people who say that Jesus is God, they're disbelievers, or they've disbelieved. But it's a takfir, right? لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة وما من إله إلا إله واحد. Verily, they have disbelieved the ones who say that Allah is one of three, meaning the Trinity. Verily, there is no God except one God. So there's plenty of evidence. And also the Prophet ﷺ said, Al-Muslim akhul Muslim. The Muslim is the brother to the Muslim. لا يظلمه ولا يحقره ولا يخذله ولا يكذبه. So the Muslim is a brother one to another, and you don't do all these harmful things to each other. And all of the prophets, they were on one religion, the Prophet ﷺ.
But what you wouldn't extract from that is that you can harm non-Muslims, would it?
Correct. Absolutely.
But
right.
no, that was never the case. I have never held the position.
One moment. Why so?
I wasn't even talking about you. Why so?
Yeah.
But Muslims do make this claim about me. Like I've never once made the claim that Islam allows unpurposeful.
Let John finish.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a hadith I've read where if a Muslim oppresses a non-Muslim or does something bad to them, Muhammad, peace be upon him, will stand against the Muslim on the Day of Judgment.
Don't be the oppressor.
Yeah. So the point I'm making, if I am to add why so, is all I was saying is that we don't just curse non-believers and treat them like rubbish, which is how he was kind of coming in. So I'm not doubting a brotherhood or an ummah between Muslims at all.
So what's YSO's point?
So wait, let me respond to that.
Is a supremacist ideology?
That means that you're trying to assume about what I was saying, because like like I said, man, you can find it all through Islamic sources that Muslims are told to curse the Jews and the Christians. This is from
Yeah, but
Muhammad.
any of those hadith,
But,
right?
but 1 minute. Can I put some context to that, please, for you, YSL?
There was a time when
If Islam,
Jordan
1 minute,
finish
bro,
without
Jordan.
interrupting.
If Islam has been sent as a criteria for Jews and Muslims to bring them back on the straight path of monotheism, then majority of them were the foundational Muslims. Yeah, they were the first Muslims as well, Jews and Christians that became
Just like
Muslims.
you hate.
When we
you
curse
hate-
the Jews and Muslims, we're talking about the remaining ones who rejected Islam.
Listen,
That's what
so
we're
it's
talking
just
about.
like it's
Do
just
you
like
understand?
you hate.
But do you understand
You
what I'm
hate
trying
for
to tell
the
you?
sake of Allah.
Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you?
That is a principle that is.
But 1
been
minute,
passed
why
down.
so? Why
Man,
so?
Do
you understand what I'm trying to say to you? The point.
No, you're not even.
Do you understand?
You've come on here and you haven't even made the same arguments that have been being made this whole time.
Can we hear from Jordan, please?
All right, cool. Sorry,
I was going to say that, you know, there are hadith that do talk about, you know, even killing non-believers and obviously Jews and specifically. But you know why? So that was a time when, you know, the Muslims were under attack by these people, and it was a clear context at that time. You're not going to find hadith that say that categorically that we should kill
Jordan, man. Jordan. Right? The Christians and the Jews that were on righteousness, once they received the message and became Muslim, we are them. They are us. Don't you get it? So when
that's not the argument being made.
But it doesn't make sense what you're saying, because if we're saying that the ideology is wrong, yeah, you're trying to make it out that as if there's some ethnic cleansing going on, like Muslims are saying, "Oh, ban the Jews."
When have I ever made that assertion?
No, but I'm not saying.
When have I ever made that assertion?
I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what I'm trying to say is,
dude, this guy. You have to let me respond to that, reactionary. This guy is saying that I'm claiming that Islam is calling for ethnic cleansing. When have I ever said that? When have I? That's your your point of view, because you despise.
So when I was a non-Muslim, and the brothers gave me dawah, was that wrong with them? Should they have cursed me out the park? Was I a filthy kafar?
You're not making the same equation of cursing and hating for the sake of Allah, right?
Explain what you mean.
So firstly, I want to talk about this ethnic cleansing that supposedly I'm like promoting. That I'm giving people assumptions about Islam. I've never said that. You know, I always try to bring context into whenever, and that's the reason I use Islamic sources. I wouldn't say that. I've never said that. But the fact is, Islam does have a supremacy concept, because he brought up the word supremacy. Islam does believe that it's superior, just like Abraham says, what is best other than to say I am Muslim?
Can I jump 1 moment? Why so? So you're saying that Islam asserts a supremacist position over other religions? Okay, does anybody here agree with that?
I agree with that. I
agree.
Okay.
But here's the point, what I'm trying to make, reactionary. The division that we're making is between the believer and the non-believer, not between people in terms of race.
I'm like having to tackle like 3 or 4 different conversations at once. And this guy just wants to keep interrupting and diverting the conversation.
All right, bro. All right, cool. I'm not trying to upset you, man.
So then, to Jordan M asking about people giving dawah. Now, it's just like in the hadith where they smile to your face, but they curse you in the heart, right?
Okay.
Wait, see if this is wrong. This is the point of dawah, is like an invitation so that you can accept, so the void in your heart can be emptied and filled by Allah. And with this filling comes the fear of Allah, which disbelievers do not have. That's the whole point of it. And then with that fear comes the respect that you have earned as a believer, and the others don't deserve that respect.
I can see where you're coming from.
Should we go back to the beginning where you came onto my live stream and said, and you put in the comments, you weren't on the panel, so we don't have to debate about that. You were in the comment section. Yeah, but you guys cursed Jews and Christians. Do you want to explain, firstly, why you did that? We weren't even talking about, it wasn't even in the conversation. And secondly, what you mean?
I remember it being that it was talking about brothers and humanities first. So if that was wrong, then I don't remember exactly what led me to make that statement. But I'm sure I didn't just say it willy-nilly. There had to be something going on in the chat or brought up, because when I address you on your chat, I always put Jordan M. You know that's true. I don't. And then otherwise, I'm typing to the chat. And I do that with Reactionary a lot too. I don't really have to do it with him as much because he reads individual comments a lot more and he'll address them. But your chat goes by real fast. So to try to get to you specifically and highlight it, I use your name. So I can't remember if I used your name on that or if I was addressing somebody else's claim. That's just the honest part of the conversation right there. So I can't answer to something I can't remember.
Okay, so you don't know why you did it. Do you want to explain what you mean then?
So, like I said, there is a hadith where Muhammad said, may the curse of Allah be on the Jews and Christians for building temples and churches on graves. Now, that's just an hadith, right? You could take it for just that example. But then you can also find
what they built they built churches on Muslim graves?
No, on the graves of the prophets. So yes, Muslim graves according to Islam.
It's just cursing all Jews and Christians.
It is saying all Jews and Christians.
So did my
this
Christian
is backed up.
Did John next door build a church on someone's grave?
This is backed up by the tafsirs, like you can find in Kathir, where constantly before an explanation, when it speaks about Jews and Christians in the Quran, for the exegesis, the tafsirs, they will say, firstly, let's start by the curse of Allah on the Jews and Christians. To that effect, it will say that. Now, the curse of Jews and Christians of Allah is the curse that they are not believers in true Islam. In the prophets, such as Muhammad. Now, this is the point. And when Allah does allow you, and then you mentioned the marriage, like, wait, first, did I answer your question before I move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you retorted with, well, we can marry people of the book, Jews and Christians. Some debate you can marry Zoroastrians. That's a couple of schools. But then a couple of schools disagree. But hold on a second. My son's climbing something. Okay. So, and then you say, oh, so we're allowed to curse them that we marry. Well, yeah, you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know, you can do that. There's no issue with that, especially if you can give. And like I gave the example of. Why wouldn't you be able to curse the person if the angels curse the woman for not going to bed with their husband at night? It's just I mean, they're only allowed to follow the will of Allah, and you have free will, according to Islam. So if they're following the will of Allah, obviously the will of Allah is to curse them for not doing something that
How do you feel
Allah
about
has
that?
prescribed.
How do you feel about that? Why so? How do you feel about that?
I don't care about it.
So why bring it up? Why bring it up?
Because
all sounds
shows it's an answer to the argument, right? It's the argument or the debate, however you want to phrase it. It's more evidence towards the side that I'm making, so that's why I would bring it up.
Yeah. I remember I was shocked when I heard Why So Religious say, for the first time when I heard him say, I'm not saying Islam is bad. Then again, I'm not saying it's good. It's good for Muslims, but I just want to say that Islam is not the truth. So basically, from his own personal position, he's saying that he sees contradictions or inconsistencies, or like he sees things in Islam that doesn't sit well with him, and his whole argument is trying to like kind of iron out those pieces that he sees. Do you get what I mean? I was shocked when I heard him say that. I thought he was Islamophobe. I thought, oh, he just hates us. He hates Islam. He hates us But it's not that. This is why I'm even coming on here. Like, I know I said one good thing about Jordan, and I said one good thing about YSO as well. Do you know what I mean? But like,
so really,
honestly,
this has all been completely pointless, hasn't it? YSO?
it's
really?
not point. It's not pointless. It's
Just
not
wasted
pointless.
an hour of our lives, really.
It's not. He's demonstrating that there is another alternative algorithm or a thought process that if you assume that position, yeah, you'll always be a disbeliever until you give up that position. Them two positions, our position and his position, will never converge. If he carries on the way he's carrying on, he will never arrive at the destination we want him to, or that he's pretending to. So basically, he's just like paralleling. Do you get me? Like he's just going a lot. That's how I see it, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway,
I don't.
Bored of him.
It just doesn't bother me, man. Like
that's the thing, Jordan.
Like,
he's not as disingenuous as you think. He comes across as disingenuous, but he's not.
I've always said, you know, I said to John Fontaine, let YSO on. He's all right. He's all right. But I don't know, the way he came on today was all a bit weird, wasn't it? Trying to debate me about whether I was in this panel or comment section, and this whole conversation just been pointless. I mean, it's good. You know, mashallah, reactionary. Read some Arabic out, and we got some good stuff about Islam. But YSO's position is absolutely pointless.
I don't
you think it's pointless? You think?
He's basically just trying to troll my stream.
Because
in the end, this means
you're
nothing.
saying that it's pointless. You're saying that the true deen is pointless.
You came on to try and make me out to be someone who's misguiding my subs. Basically, that's all you did, and you've looked like a bit of a dickhead.
No. Firstly, it's you are making claims that like when I say something, I have to provide my source material. But you can make claims.
Bonfire, assalamu alaikum.
So when you make claims, you don't have to provide for them. And then and that's the big issue with me, is that people can make claims, they don't have to provide for it, and people just blindly follow. You do have a platform where people do that. Now, when you try to say that
videos on my channel,
but why? So you just fell as well. You just admitted that basically the evidence you use is you don't believe in it. It hasn't got no relevance to you, but you're using it as evidence against others. So you just admitted it, innit? It's futile. What you're playing at is futile, basically.
Notice these people have to try to spin it on me when it's actually, this is the problem inside of the ummah, right? Is that people can just say whatever they want.
I'm genuinely bored of this guy. Should we move on?
Yeah, there's no problem in the ummah. You just imagined it, like why so? Because you're not part of the ummah.
I mean, this video that Reactionary has on is actually the thing that we're talking about. This is actually the thing that we're talking about, where you're telling people who are not.
Are you agreeing with YSO?
I didn't say that. What I said is, in terms of the topic, which is, can you call non-Muslims brothers? Is YSO in disagreement with us, or is in agreement with us?
That wasn't the topic.
What's the topic?
So the topic was, firstly, can you curse Jews and Christians? And then we talked about the hadith. Whereas, can I want for a brother in? I mean, it uses the word brother, but we were talking about brother in humanity. Can I want for a non-Muslim?
Yeah.
Can I want good for them? Can I want for them what I want for myself? Yeah.
Well, YSO never said you can't.
Yes, he did. That was his whole point.
I said you can't call.
You haven't followed the conversation.
I said you can't call non-Muslims, and also the real. I would
one
argue.
One second. No. The conversation.
Okay, go ahead.
The conversation started with this video, right? It was Asim Hakim.
Yeah, you brought that. I wasn't claiming that we can call non-Muslims brothers. That wasn't my. I don't go around saying, "Hey, brother Bob the Builder. Hey, sister Hatun." It's not my. That's not my position.
Okay.
Exactly.
Do you think the word brother just means saying the word brother, or does it mean?
I don't speak Arabic.
Does it mean?
If I see a hadith, I don't assume that the word means. You know, someone might read that and think, "Oh, my relative." You know, I don't assume that. I think I look at what obviously the book that I brought up is actually a book that many new Muslims would read, and it's supposed to be very reliable.
And that's an issue. That's an issue, right? Is that it's a book, and that's the reason I said this is a problem amongst the ummah. Is that
not quite? Why? So one second. No, what we wanted to understand is who gave that interpretation of the hadith. Was it the author, the translator? You know, that's what we wanted to know. So we looked at explanations of this hadith from scholars who've studied, and they all said so far that it's not permissible to call other religions our brothers. And the Prophet made the Ansar and Muhajirin brothers. Right? We are brothers one to another. Muslims are brothers.
Allow me to interrupt you, reactionary. Surely there was a time when the effort and the energy was put in towards bringing Christians and Jews to monotheism and making them Muslim. We're not living in that time now. So the word brother, looking at it in context, would mean something different now and something different then. Does that not make sense to you? Can you not see that there's a context to it?
No.
Of course it is.
If I may, I would say that, and this is kind of strange, how I would actually have the only interpretation of how this brothers and the want for your brother as you want for yourself could be quote unquote brothers in humanity, is that it's a call to Islam for everybody to make it to Jannah. Right, to make it to paradise. So this would be the only form of interpretation.
So therefore, I want you to become Muslim, and therefore I want what I have for you.
But it still wouldn't be brothers in humanity. That's the whole point.
But all I used was a reputation for you saying that we curse everybody else.
Okay. Did you say we curse everybody else, my son?
I said the Jews and the Jews.
I never heard that.
I've said it multiple times on the stream too, that there is the call for cursing Jews and Christians
who build churches on graves.
And just like they smile.
Oh, that is a hadith, right? No, that is a hadith. There is a hadith about that.
All right. Yeah. What does the hadith say? Let's look at the hadith then. What does the hadith say? It says curse them for what? For what? For being Jews. Does it say curse them for being Jews?
It said, may Allah's curse be on the Jews and Christians for building on top of the prophets. So listen, that is one example. But then you have throughout history, all the way at least until Ibn Kathir, where Muslim scholars are saying that when they open up certain statements of tafsirs, they will open up with, may Allah curse the Jews and Christians. That was the example that I gave.
Like that. Yeah, we could search for them. Now, does anybody here disagree with that hadith?
What I'm saying is you have to look at it in context. If Islam has been sent as a criterion to correct the Jews and the Christians, obviously there's going to be things, specific things that we're pointing out that they're doing that we don't agree with, in an attempt to bring them to the straight path. Do you understand? That's the purpose of what you're looking at. Now, for you to ignore that and ignore that context is contradictory to when the Prophet ﷺ says, don't curse their religion if you're provoking them to curse your religion. So why would there be two contradictory viewpoints in Islam?
That's a totally different concept, because like I said, in reactionary, maybe you know of this one, smile to them but curse them in your hearts. Like this is
I'm not familiar with this. Yeah.
So,
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay, so I won't bring
However,
it up
we
then.
can read that hadith. That first hadith you brought is here, and it says, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, reported that during his terminal illness, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "May Allah curse the Jews and the Christians. They took their graves. They took the graves of their prophets as places of worship." She added, "Had it not been for that, his grave would have been made prominent, but it was feared that it might be taken as a place of worship." You see? So had he not made that statement then the same would have happened with the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Islam would have turned into Christianity, pretty much.
Exactly that. So they're not being cursed because they're Jews. They're not being cursed because they're Christians. Their practice is being criticized. If the whole purpose of Islam is to bring these misguided people back to monotheism, you can see that's evident in the fact that we don't want the grave to become a worshipping place, because Jews and Christians are known for doing this. Jews do mad things like praying to angels. They pray to other than to Allah. It's a fact.
Yeah,
Islam's trying to correct that. You can see that in this.
All he said on my stream was that we curse Jews and Christians. Missed out that last bit. A pure James Speaker's Corner move.
No, but
Yeah.
so you
Then
don't
the
think
conversation didn't even need to go any further. If he put that in the chat, I wouldn't have said anything, or I would have,
it says
oh, that's
here?
interesting.
Yeah,
Dude,
so-
I did put that in the chat. Are you claiming I don't put my sources in chat now?
You said
You're claiming,
Muslims
you're
curse
claiming
Jews
that
and
I did not
Christians.
put that Muhammad.
And then you left
so off the top of my head. Off the top of my head on this live stream, I'm able to give you that hadith, and reactionary just instantly find it. And you're claiming that I did not give that as my source.
Do you think
chat.
it's sincere of me to take that hadith and write in someone's live stream that Muslims cursed all the Jews and Christians?
I said that Muslims are supposed to curse the
man.
Jews and Christians. You are supposed to curse them
You
for
see,
doing things that
That's
are
mad.
against
That's mad. You're even saying that. That's crazy.
Clear cut and paste.
Madness.
Almost Islamophobe tactic.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, dude. Well, you know what? It's not even. It would.
Why so you one crazy bird? Why so? Why so? Cool, man. Honest.
It would be good if that stream was up so that we could actually verify what you said, because so far everything that I said has actually been verified.
No, you've been refuted. You've been refuted.
How have I been refuted?
Your claim when you came on was that I was wrong and that I'm misguiding my subs. Well, there are opinions to say that I'm right.
No, there's not. What, volunteers?
I gave you the book.
I asked you for the sheikhs. That was my direct question, because I gave you sheikhs before you deleted the live stream.
I gave you Nawawi. I gave you that book.
You didn't say that was his commentary.
I know the first
that was
time
the question.
I said
that was the
first
question.
Time, for crying out loud! You are actually just a waste of time. I didn't know that. I was always your defender before, but this conversation, you are just a waste.
We asked for who wrote that commentary, and you said
I said a bunch of volunteers, and then I finished my sentence. Yeah, is that what you're saying?
Who wrote that commentary that you're using as a refutation when we have multiple scholars going against that reputation?
Anyway,
because who wants to agree?
Do we have to carry this on? I'm not losing.
Who wants to agree? Who wants to agree that Islam is based on its Jannah?
So we can come back to this topic another time.
Yeah, come
Let's
back
end it
with
here.
so discuss it.
All right. Yeah. So I was looking at this video. I remember seeing this video of yours, Jordan. It's
Did you agree or disagree with it?
With what? Sorry.
I thought you just talked about a video.
Yeah. It's called "I'm Exposing Everyone." Muslims must be
the banner's blocking the thing, the writing.
Okay, bear with me.
All right, let's see.
It's a short one. It's 48 seconds. Okay, ready? It's muted.
Right, I needed to do this video. I just had to do this video. It's time for me to call out the Shia, the Brelvi, the Deobandi, the Tablighi, anyone who's not the same madhab as me, Muslims who celebrate the Prophet's birthday, Muslims who listen to music, Muslims with tattoos, Muslims who say Jummah Mubarak, the Madkhalis, Ikhwanis, Muslims who say happy birthday, Muslims with short beards, sisters who aren't wearing niqab. Wait a second. Is there not a bigger picture here? Now, these conversations need to be had, but surely exposing each other online isn't the best use of our time. In current times, there's a wave of liberalism, atheism, flooding the world. I think I'm going to try and put my time to better use.
Okay. And that's got 122 something thousand views. So just wanted to understand what you were thinking.
What do you take from that reactionary? Because a lot of people misunderstood it in the comments. I wonder if you're one of them.
I think the comments were highly supportive from what I saw.
Uncle Omar approached me in the park about this.
Did he really?
Of course.
It's a sentiment I've heard from in particular Sabur Ahmed when
it can be misconstrued. This could look like me saying we don't need to call out Shia, we don't need to call out Brelvi, we don't need, but that's not what I'm saying. I clearly say these conversations need to be had. But what this is a response to is the constant exposing Muslims do online, the back and forths, and I feel like we're Muslims are arguing, and the atheists are just watching by, going, "Look at these mad people." So I'm not saying, look, Muslims will always argue because we are passionate about what we have. It's important to us, these differences. But my point is, especially on the online culture, there's a lot of exposing going on. And I feel like a lot of it is unnecessary.
Okay. And when you say about the online culture, are you talking about this sort of community we're involved in, or are you talking about different online?
I think an example would be the back and forth with Shamsi and Bro Haji, Mohammed Hijab and all that. That it just goes back and forth, back and forth. I feel like that takes away really from their dawah sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because I can agree to that to some extent on that. Because you see one video after another refuting each other. I remember Dawah Man, Shamsi, and who else? Bro Haji. Yeah, I remember. And now the SP Files one as well. What I would say, however, is that the Dawah channels, if you look at the Dawah channels, the ones who have Dawah in their name, right? They are typically only interested in refuting Christianity.
Agreed.
Sometimes, and they also put effort into atheism, as you said, and liberalism. Sabur Ahmed really loves talking about those things. Yes. And then and Mohammed Hijab too, and Daniel Hakikatu and these people. And you've got so there is a lot of focus from the committed and dedicated channels, the big ones, on exactly the topics you're talking about.
You won't find on EF Dawah anything about Shia or Brelvi and I'm not saying there shouldn't be. And I agree with your comment about Christianity. Like for me, when I first came into Islam, you look at all the Dawah pamphlets, and it's like God is one, not three. And now I know this is in our scriptures and stuff like that, but for me, a Dawah pamphlet shouldn't be just directed towards Christians. If sometimes you go to a Dawah stall, and it's got Jesus posted everywhere. Yeah. Jesus, we love Jesus. And for me, that is a bit of a tactic that I don't really like to see at a Dawah stall. I feel like there should be Muhammad, peace be upon him. There should be Tawheed. There should be clearly an Islamic thing. Obviously, it's to draw people in. But I think there's always been a culture back from Sheikh Didat and stuff like that where it was probably quite big back then to go against Christianity. Now, Christianity is fizzled out. Churches are empty. Most Christians are liberal. If you spoke to me before I converted to Islam about the Gospel of Matthew and stuff, I would have been like, what are you on about? So I feel like we don't need to spend all that time on Christianity. And I know I'm from EF Dawah that does a lot on Christianity. And there needs to be, obviously, brothers doing that. But I would agree, there's too much focus on Christians.
Yeah, so that's it. And I think I'm a little bit dismayed by the lack of attention to Muslims that need guidance. Right? They need dawah too, or people who call themselves Muslims. They also need dawah.
Yeah, but you would say that though. You're coming from a point of view. You're like a Protestant. You're protesting against the majority of Muslims with your little minority view of Islam. So you would want to talk to Muslims more than non. That's your position.
You're claiming that reactionary has a minority view of Islam?
100%.
Is a little.
Reactionary fringe.
My view of Islam is definitely a minority amongst the.
I'm not saying
the Muslims, definitely, right?
I'm not saying he's right or wrong. Yeah. He could well be 100% right on his. Like I've never seen reactionary say anything I didn't really agree with in terms of Aqidah.
My question then, Khan, is: do deviant groups who, and some of them are their deviancy is kufr deviancy as well.
Yeah,
so it makes them non-Muslims, right? Yeah. Do they not need da'wah?
100%.
So they need da'wah. Okay.
Yes, they do.
All right. Who's giving them da'wah?
Nobody.
So what do you mean, like a stream on Brelvi calling them out and saying this is wrong? Because obviously da'wah.
Definitely.
I think
Brelvis for some reason are considered untouchable.
No,
right?
that's a lie.
People are happy
we
to
can,
talk about
one minute.
Qadianis. They're happy to
Let's
talk
be
about
honest. Let's be
Shia.
honest. There is a
Why isn't
mechanism.
anyone talking about
There is a
Brelvism?
mechanism within Islam that brings deviant sects back to the straight path. We can see that in the Brelvis of the UK, their children who are now exposed to Islam, in Islam proper, let's call it, are all coming to the straight path. All of them. Like, we cannot say that Brelvism is being maintained in the UK compared to how many of their children are coming to the truth. Like, let's not misrepresent them. Let's not misrepresent them.
Reactionaries' wishes almost come true because, so in my experience, so if thou are obviously using this example, it's clear what they believe, what they preach. It's clear they're not Shia. It's clear they're not any part of any kind of sect. A lot of people have come to. So we've had Quranists email us. We've had Shia email us, and these people have come to the deen, and we talk about
100%.
So if Dawah obviously is aimed mostly at the non-Muslim, and I think Hamza being an English face and stuff, I think is being the head of it. I think almost draws that kind of image to it. But if you watch the streams, it's all born Muslims, and most born Muslims, for whatever reason, will look at a revert and it will be an inspiring thing, or it does something to them. And, you know, for me, we're in a predicament almost where just getting Muslims to pray 5 times a day is an effort. So going into these sects and stuff like that, most Muslims, from my experience, aren't even praying. So I don't think it needs to even go that deep for someone like If Dawah.
Yeah.
The way that I look at it.
Go on.
But there's things that come.
I was just going to say the reason, if that's Kalam, if that's the Real Titans TV, hello, sir.
No, it's Triller TV. Triller TV.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see it. The way I look at it, I think the reason that the big Dawah scene has become to, defeating Christianity is because these people already have a belief system, and they believe in a God. And then so they can, if they can separate their belief system of the doctrine of the doctrine, then they can focus in on still having faith in God. And then dude, why are you mumbling when I'm speaking?
The thing is, you're talking about England. You haven't got you don't know about England, bro. You're talking about Christians that live in England. They've given up the ghost. Muslims are giving them dawah because they are the most needy. We're looking at how their daughters are rolling on street and how they're living.
This is the point.
They need dawah because
this is why you don't want me to finish speaking, right? Because true dawah is reading the Quran. Since when have you ever heard that these arguments really being made? A lot, like, the real fact is the first Sahaba, right? The first believers, Muhammad came down from the mountain. He was shivering. He said the words of Allah. And then they were believers. It's none of this, oh, let me disprove your religion, right? These people were already pagans. All they needed was the words of Allah.
That's a good point.
Wasn't this.
It's a great point. You make good points.
It's not how. So dawah, since Islam, and this is a fault in my opinion, Muslims have gone to the point where they say that you need to know Arabic so much that it made them change their dawah to having to attack Christianity or Judaism belief systems so that people still hold on to their belief that there is a God, and then they can push in Islam instead of, and that might have been a bad phrasing, but I think you get what I mean.
One minute. Let me make a point to reply to him. Why so? Let me tell you something. Compared to the amount of people that revert to Islam through dawah or these dawah ministries, the majority of British that are becoming Muslim is through looking at Muslims as a community and seeing the examples as clean living people, and they're like, wait a minute, in a time where we don't have community, they have community. In a time where we don't have honor, they have honor. Like, this is a bigger dawah than what you're talking about people going to the park and just talking and saying words. Bro, Muslims are living the deen, and that is a much bigger example and that's the biggest promoter of people becoming Muslim in the UK. I'm saying, I don't know about where you are.
Yeah, and Khan,
big things.
I was going to respond to that first point you made about how certain people in this country need dawah more than others. Everybody needs the truth in it, that true way of living, and to be reminded of it. Everybody, all
Yeah,
our
but
souls.
Trilla, and we've seen people in despair, and we've seen people
I'm
like
I'm
Darren's
just saying
always
this.
saying,
I thought it was a low thing
Hamza's
to say,
always
bro. In my
saying,
opinion,
look at
we
these
all need
people gambling
it.
their
We all
money
need God,
away.
innit?
Look at
No,
these
but we all need
people
God,
on
innit?
alcoholism. Look at these people, their daughters are running around having like children from four, like they got 4x4s now, bro.
Yeah,
Four
but
baby
we all need
fathers,
God, innit?
four
That's my
children
point,
from
innit?
four
Yeah, we
men.
all need
Like
saving
when
in
we
that
see
sense.
And
these things,
also,
it makes us think that these people
yeah.
are in despair. That's what it makes us think, bro.
By the way, so my
So
comment
you can't.
about certain groups being untouchable when it comes to dawah, I mentioned Brahvism, but Sikhism is also another one, right? And I mentioned Sikhism because Trilla has come on and you've reminded me of Sikhism, of course, right? So I'm thinking, well, and I remember speaking to one of the dawah people, and he said a comment like, "No, big up the real Sikhs." Now,
yeah,
what
they're the
does
ones
that
that are doing it properly.
well, and from a Muslim perspective,
Yeah.
to me, that's blasphemous. How can a Muslim say big up the real Sikhs?
Well, this
Because
is the thing. It's sort of
I
like how you're
understand,
talking about.
I
Yeah, sorry,
understand
carry
a
on.
sentiment. Sorry, I understand a
I
sentiment.
feel like Wyso refuted your comments, reactionary, because
Yeah.
he's basically gave an example.
He's been doing it all night.
The prophetic way of dawah would be to use the Quran to call ones to God. So if I'm giving the dawah to Trilla or Wyso, why should it necessarily change unless I'm trying to refute Sikhism? And we're told, aren't we? We're told not to insult other religions. I'm not saying you can't refute, but I don't know. Would it really
Okay,
help?
so
would it help me giving dawah to Trilla by talking bad about Sikhism?
No, is speaking good about Sikhism going to a way of giving dawah?
No, I'm not saying
it's encouraging. It's encouraging.
Do you know what?
them.
You know what? If I was giving dawah to Trilla, from my experience in my life, Sikhs are very loyal and very good people. Is that blasphemous for you?
Yes, because
Wow.
you're saying that the reason that they're good people is their Sikhism, the teachings
Well,
of
it's
Sikhism.
you're not supposed to believe in it.
It's very possible that there are elements of Sikhism that does teach them to be good.
What I would prefer you to say is something like,
No, it teaches them to be loyal.
listen, you're a really good person, right? You got wonderful values, and I appreciate that. Why don't you come to Islam? Why are you remaining on Sikhi?
So you think it's an
your
automatic
behavior
position?
is Islamic behavior. This is
So
what
your automatic position is to refute pretty much everything else that isn't Islamic.
Yeah, everything,
yeah,
and that
yeah.
is the meaning of the
I understand. I understand
the testification of faith. We say the first thing we say is La ilaha. We're negating every other god that's being worshipped.
100%.
I understand that. I understand
Completely.
that.
That's the statement. And
I
then
mean,
we
it's
say
fair,
illallah, except Allah.
But
We're
there's no
saying
examples
every
of
religion,
the
your
Prophet
religion
Muhammad,
is
peace be
wrong.
upon him, refuting the Jews or Christians in their ideologies, is there?
There's no example of the Prophet refuting the Jews and
As
Christians.
in the way the prophetic way is just calling to one God, isn't it? And actually,
in the Quran, Allah said,
But
and the Prophet
actually, may I
would
respond?
have
Okay,
recited
go ahead.
one moment. Yeah, he would have recited the verse. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ ثَالِثُ ثَلَاثَةٍ. Verily, they have disbelieved those who say that God is one of three. He's saying that they've
Yes, and to add on to that would also
they're
be
good people. Yeah,
and also to expound upon that is a lot of times, and you can find this in the tafsirs, the Quran was sent down as the refutation. So that's the refutation that you're supposed to use, such as, God created the world and the heavens in 6 days, and then the Jew said, you would be right if you would have said on the seventh day he rested. And then Allah sent down the next verse saying that, God does not need to rest. So a lot of times, that's what I meant by true dawah is supposed to be using Allah's words. That was what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. And Mukit has written a comment that I have to actually consider. And it's a good comment. Big up Mukit for this. All right. And you have to give me a spanner next time you see me because I bigged you up. Anyhow, it says, Allah says the Christians are the closest to us because among them are those who are humble. Right. And you'll find that, and there's another verse that where Allah said, maybe the same verse, where Allah said that you'll find the people who have most enmity to us are who? The Jews, the mushrikeen, the polytheists, and those who say that they're Jews. And we see that today, the Indians and the Jews, they're the ones with the most enmity towards Muslims, and the closest to Muslims are Christians. So you see lots of migration to Christian countries from Muslim lands, whereas you see ethnic cleansing from those
Can I
other
just
countries.
say? Can I just say something? Obviously, I'm born
That's a
and
good
bred
point.
in this country,
Now,
right?
can
I've
that
got
be
a good.
can
Go on.
that be applied in a way to say Christians are good people, or big up the? Can you say big up the real Christians then?
Can I just say something?
Hmm.
The difference between Christians and Jews is that Jews pray to other than Allah. The problem with Christians is, if you imagine, for argument's sake, a Mercedes sign, which is a circle divided into three. Christians believe in one God, but it has three parts, right? So their belief is closer to us, but they just gone the extra step of trying to look into the nature of God and divide him, right? Whereas we're saying God is one. So our belief and Christian belief is very close, but the Jewish belief is actually closer to pagans, because they pray to other than Allah. They just don't call them gods, but they pray to them like as if they were gods. So they're more pagan than the Christians in actual fact. So if you look
the
at
answer
it,
that I've
go
got,
on,
oh, okay.
go on.
I was saying
Go
the
ahead.
answer that I've gotten from most Muslims that I've spoken to about this, and it's actually still up on John Fontaine's channel, is that the original Christians weren't the Christians that we see today, and that's the reason they should not be
100%.
treated the same.
Yeah.
Like when
100%.
you talk about Al-Farsi, like Al-Farsi, if I'm not mistaken,
Go on,
he was a
YSL.
Christian.
Preach the thing,
So
brother.
he was a Muslim that was taken. He was a Christian who studied amongst various Christians of the era. Every time his monk would die, he would go to a new one. And then when his last monk died, he said, "There is no other Christian who knows Christianity other than me and you now. After I die, it will be just you." So then he gets transported to, and he gets told that the next prophet will be from Arabia. Now, Christianity doesn't really support prophets after Jesus. It doesn't negate that it could happen, but it doesn't support it either. So that is a big theological difference there. So then Al-Farsi goes down to Arabia. He becomes a slave in Medina. He used to bring Muhammad food when he came, and then he converted. So the Islamic perspective, at least from like John Fontaine's channel and that guy who was on there, Jabril, I can't remember his name, Abu something, Jabril, I think, is that there are no real Christians anymore. Like the real Christians were the ones who followed Jesus as a prophet and not a deity. So one could take the opinion that the Christians of nowadays are not referred to in the Quran itself. Go ahead.
100%. And I'll also say this goes to the argument of where Muslims say, well, certain Muslims say, as Muslims, we can eat the food of the people of the book, and we say this doesn't apply to the Christians of today, is exactly the argument that YSO just now put down. Because the Christians of today, you can't regard them as people of the book, because they're not the same as the Christians in the time.
Look at this video. Jordan, can I play this one? It's,
no, don't play it, man. I'm going to strike you. No, go on.
All right, ready? Here we go.
Game over.
Hey, that was excellent. I have to give you credit for that.
Proper dawah. Ishmael told me about that idea.
Who's Ishmael? The one in the chat? Yeah. Oh, is it? You know him?
He emailed me, said I got a really good idea.
MashaAllah. You know, I really think that was an excellent video. Now, what would happen if you replaced the word Trinity with Brelvism?
The thing is,
or Sikhism.
Even that video there, like, is it helpful? Yeah. Would a Christian look at that and get offended? It wasn't the intention, but if that's the case, then maybe it wasn't the best idea. I don't know, but I think for me, it was just showing that Tawheed is a lot stronger than the idea of the Trinity.
Yeah, and I saw somebody trying to assemble. It looked like they were trying to assemble a table, right? Trying to make something one out of many parts. So it was a good.
So you'd like to see videos like that on maybe not even Sikhism, but even like Sunni versus Shia.
Not necessarily, but it's funny how I think any Muslim would look at that and think, oh, that's fantastic, right? But if you had
May I
put the
give an
word
opinion of why I think?
or Sikh
Oh, go ahead.
or some other,
Yeah, I see your point. Actually, I do
how
see
would
it.
the reaction be?
Yeah, I do see your point.
And the question is, why would the reaction be?
No. If I did reincarnation, then people would, if it was afterlife versus reincarnation, people would also like that, because
people say, why are you dissing Buddha Big, Jordan? you get attacked by the Muslims.
The thing is, though, if somebody does have a different belief, to Islam, right? Then the thing is, right, you are going to have basically try your best to refute them in whichever way you see fit, right, or whether you choose to or not. Because I think when you're talking about dawah, right, that your objective is basically to prove, your point against theirs, or to change their mind, or and you guys can
That's
correct
not
me
the
if I'm
point
wrong.
of dawah.
I'm just looking at the
That's not the
mechanics
point of it.
sort of behind it, right? In terms of, obviously, you're preaching your thing, to somebody, right? You're having a conversation with someone. So like it's a thing where like lots of different people are going to have different beliefs. Like, for example, with the Sikhs, something that like I learned kind of recently, okay, God is within everybody and within everything, right? And I'm like, okay, so that makes Sikhi not just monotheistic, makes it pantheistic religion as well, right? I'm like, okay, made me see things differently. So if a Muslim was saying to me, oh no, we just believe in the monotheistic side of it, then automatically I would have to. There's no point of sort of like trying to change my mind on it, unless your whole aim is to try and change their mind, right?
Yeah, because you know why? The reason is, I tell you why, Hold on. First of all, because you have to know what the word God means in it first. So the definition of God: ever living, never dying, self-subsisting. So that rules out God being in everything. So what it is, if you just because you want to call God, and then tomorrow you got like merry-go-round and you call it God, it doesn't make it God.
Yeah, it's true. But I want to hear what Waiso was going to say, because I wonder if he can maintain this consistent approach to Islam. Like Waiso.
Yeah, we want Waiso. We want Waiso, the guy. Waiso, man. We want Waiso.
I would say that the reason
Waiso, hold on a second. What I would like to, just before you continue, so Triller made a comment that God is everywhere, right? So if God is everywhere and he's in the Quran, and his words in the Quran are saying that other religions are false, you have to accept that, right? So, but secondly, I'd like to just get Jordan's view on Triller being a Sikh. Are you happy with him continuing his life as a Sikh, or would you see that he would be better off being a Muslim?
Well, what do you think my answer to that is? How would I ever think that him being a Sikh would be good for his afterlife or good for him?
Well, okay, what?
But that doesn't mean.
Can you give him an idea of why it would
show him like
how would he benefit by being a Muslim?
I feel like your question is because I might say to him, Sikhs, I really respect the Sikhs, that all of a sudden I believe, I'm some kind of a Care Bear.
No. What I'd like to know is, all right, what I'd like to see is how you would, I suppose, invite Triller to Islam and say that what all right, so Triller is coming from a family oriented background. There's a lot of benefits socially in being a Sikh, right? There's the Punjabi connections, there's the families, there's certain cultural benefits in being a Sikh.
But that's also the barrier, isn't it? That a Sikh, in my experience with Sikhs, even if they agree what you say, they're born Sikh, and it's like a race. Sikhism is like a race. So
you're raised a Sikh, right? The race would probably be the ethnicity of Punjabi. But I suppose
Sikhism is a race.
Is there any? Can you think of any benefit to be gained by Triller becoming a Muslim? How would it add value to his life?
Well, he would be doing what Allah demands to do. I am Muslim, aren't I? So I would obviously believe that Triller should be showing gratitude to his Creator 5 times a day. Of course, I believe all of that. But
so right now he's not doing
that. No, but the important point is that it's not in my control whether Triller ever accepts Islam. Allah puts it in people's hearts. I can convey the message to Triller, and that's it. I don't have to then disrespect him for the rest of my life. I can happily go for a coffee with Triller happy to discuss anything. All
Okay.
we're supposed to do as Muslims is convey the message, and that's it. It's not up. We can't force people to become Muslim. We can't be angry with people.
100%, 100%.
I'd just like to make a point that inviting somebody to Islam and also pointing out that what they're currently following besides Islam is not acceptable in the sight of Allah, that doesn't equate to insulting them, right? Nobody's suggesting insulting non-Muslims. I'm not doing that anyway, particularly.
But you're still angry though.
Angry about what?
You're that guy reaction. You're like, come to my house.
You are angry.
The other guy's like, no, I don't want to come to your house. And you're like, why won't you want to come to my house? Like other guys, look.
Maybe,
maybe
it's like,
and you're like, but if you don't come to my house, it's going to be terrible.
But I like Triller. I think he's I enjoy when he's on panels. Brings a lot of value.
Reactionary wants a birthday with Mike Tyson.
But I don't understand why we're accepting of somebody not becoming Muslim. We should
Okay,
make
let me
them
ask you
realize
this
that
question,
what is the benefit? He must be thinking, why should I become Muslim?
Why are you kind of like almost harsh with Triller, but with Ralph, you won't give him any dawah?
Okay, so again, who said Triller? Am I being harsh with you?
No, but you're clearly, when he comes on, Sikhism's false and all that. When Ralph comes on, you give him salams.
Well, yeah, one moment. Sorry.
So-
There's a red herring there. This is a red herring.
Really,
I don't think I've been rude to Triller.
But you were reading out earlier about we can't call non-Muslims brother and all that, and you salam Ralph.
Well, you're allowed.
Your position's all over.
You're allowed to salam. You're allowed to.
You
you're
return
allowed
salams.
to greet people how they greet you inside of
Exactly.
Islam. If Ralph gives him peace, then he's allowed to say peace back to him. That is Islam. Now, should he instigate it against a Christian, then he's not allowed to. But
thank you, Sheikh.
Hey, don't get mad at me because I know this. You're
Sheikh,
trying to
why
make a
so?
point against a person, and it's just basic, like what I would consider.
Sheikh's old religion. Sheikh's old religion.
So
You were
y'all
refuted on a
were
basic
talking
point
about
when you came onto the
Sikhism.
stream. So why would I listen to you now?
So you don't want Triller to be Muslim? Is that
You
what you're saying?
claim that. How did
Hold on
you?
a sec.
I
One
love
moment.
how, I
Why
love
so?
how you say that. I got refuted, and you never said anything.
Why so?
It's the topic.
Why so?
I want Waiso to be Muslim. I want Triller to be Muslim. I want Ralph to be Muslim.
Okay, that's good. So Triller, why so?
Yeah.
Jordan would like you to be Muslim.
Yeah, okay. I heard. And
I
would have to politely decline that invitation because I don't fully agree with everything in Islam. I think some basic principles are very different from what I believe in, and what I believe in happens to co-align with Sikhi, and I find that a little bit of a
Like what? Like what? Give an example. Give one example.
I just told you one, bro. Like I told you, God is
They
everywhere.
believe in multiple gods.
And you guys,
No. Hold on.
One at a
Yeah,
time,
but
one at a time.
you made up. Look, you made up something. You said, the cloud is a god. But I told you, that's not the criteria of what the word God means. So are you telling me what? You're gonna start making up words, bro. Make what they mean, what you want to. You can't go like that, bro. It's gone beyond, bro, man. That's beyond reason, bro. That's cuckoo land, isn't it?
Right? We can all agree that Islam is monotheistic. As we can all agree on that. When it comes to Sikhi is not just monotheistic; it's also pantheistic, right? So that's basically what I believe.
No, but it's a polytheistic. It's a polytheistic religion. I think, and this is what I was getting when I think it was Gain.
Oh, about saying he's a pagan now. Come on, man.
Dude, can you mute? So, I think Gain asked, what's Waiso going to say about Sikhism? Let's see if it's consistent. The reason I would say most Muslims don't really go towards Sikhism as for dawah is because they don't really know what Sikhism teaches. It makes it a harder concept, but because it's from 10 it's like, what is it? 10 different gurus, depending on who you talk to, 7 main ones, right? And they are the incarnate of God. The book is the incarnate of God. And then, but the thing is even Triller right now has tried to say that it was pantheistic and monotheistic. That's not true. They believe in multiple gods. It's polytheistic. Okay?
No, we don't believe in multiple.
Let me finish. Let me
Go
finish.
He's a
There is
guru and a
one
sheikh. He's now telling a Sikh about his
overarching.
religion.
It. This
No,
is
no,
all true
let,
because I've read it.
YSO continue. Go on, YSO.
Go on, YSO.
How is
Preach your
that
thing, bro.
convincing?
Go on, YSO.
So they do
You're doing
believe
well,
it's
mate.
kind of like the pagans of Arabia that you can find inside the Quran. So actually, Sikhism would be a good religion for Muslims to use the true dawah, the Quran, the words, to get them. Because the pagans at the time in the Quran, they would be asked by Muhammad, does not Allah send the rain? They'd be like, yes, but there's also intercessors. And Allah's, you know, they're trying to believe that people are, humans can become intercessors. They believe that rocks can protect them and stuff like that. But they did have faith in just Allah as a one God, an overarching God. Well, in Sikhism, that's what they have. They have the one superior God, and then this God created multiple gods to rule different worlds. Okay, and then
That's
these
Hinduism, I think.
like
That's Hinduism, not Sikhism. I think
no,
again.
this is in the Guru Sahib.
No. Just because
what
the
I'm
gods were
saying?
mentioned, just because Hindu deities were mentioned in the Guru Granth Sahib, yeah, it doesn't mean that, you know what I mean.
Listen,
like we follow them, it will follow that way. Like, you know what I mean.
No, it does. It does.
From my understanding,
It's like sort of like a scrapbook in it with other religions flung in it.
Listen,
I mean, I don't think we don't dismiss. I don't think them either. I don't think we dismiss them either. So
it
it's
even
one of those things.
It even says that Shiva is a ruler of this world. It is a deity.
One
that
thing
is
we do,
worthy to be praised.
we object to idol worship, so we're completely against that idolatry worship. So, yeah.
But I didn't speak about idol worship.
I know, I'm just
This is
mentioning it. Yeah, but
Yeah, but for 1 minute, you giving us the definition of idol worship, that God is in everything. So you've made everything an idol to worship, and now you're saying no idol worship. See what I'm saying, bro? When you get trapped, I told you.
But all I'm saying is, that it's you might look at it like that, but that's just, again, that's why it's a conflict in our beliefs. You know what I mean? Because we believe that it's okay, you believe that not to be okay.
So that's the reason I think Muslims don't really focus on Sikhs, because if they read the Guru Sahib, right, the main book, the book that Sikhs believe is incarnate of God, then they would be able to pick apart arguments that even the Quran uses. Because you got to think, the Guru Sahib, he was around Muslims. The Guru Nanak was around Muslims, so he heard their arguments and he tried to address them inside of the Guru Sahib. But from what I read, he failed miserably.
100%.
Even so much that the words Islam made into the Guru Sahib.
Well,
and even Allah, even the name Allah. Even the name Allah.
All right. Well, regardless, Guru Nanak didn't fail at anything. So nor did all the other gurus. None of them failed. None of them failed at all. No. Look at us now. No.
An 8-year-old.
Exactly. Did his prediction come true? Was there an end to religion? No.
Let Trilla answer, guys. Let Trilla answer.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, you get me right. We consider them to be flawless, right? We consider them to be perfect.
An 8-year-old guru in prison and dies of smallpox. That's a failure. That is a failure.
No. I think that's a bit.
Why so? Why so?
Because
you're definitely going to be the new chef of YouTube.
Not all the gurus, right, live to an old age, right? So at the end of the day, right, the guru, some of them were very young, right, when they became a guru and had a very short life. That is very true. That does not dispel anything. That doesn't.
Here's the mad thing. If Waiso was to set up a troll account and put himself a Muslim name and change his voice, oh my God, you would wreck YouTube, Waiso. You need to do this, bro. You need to come back as a Muslim and troll all these people. You would smash it. You would smash it up, bro.
You'd be invited as a permanent guest on
Free of Dawah.
Nah, we're all right, mate.
That's your key.
The guy just smashed up the whole of Sikhi in 2 seconds, bro. Like, it's just too raw. It's too raw.
But it wasn't good dawah, was it? He didn't let Trilla speak and laughed at him. So it wasn't very good behavior.
You see, here it's
Yeah, man. Let the Triller. Let the
Well,
Triller.
that's hey Jordan. That's because this is my main account. This isn't my Muslim account. But my Muslim account, I would have let him speak, and then I would have muted during my laughter.
you know, this points out, it makes clear to us that Muslims, we feel comfortable. Like if Triller was an atheist, I'm sure a number of people from the Muslim community who are on this panel would feel very comfortable challenging atheism, right? Or liberalism or racism. Muslims, or they're very comfortable challenging anything that's racist. But with Sikhi and the beliefs of Sikhi, which are insulting to Allah, in the belief of the oneness of Allah, maybe insult, I don't want to use the word insulting, but they're like antithetic towards Tawheed, then
No, that's
we don't know what to say. We don't know how to.
No, that's not true. I don't know where
Bro, we just spoke to Triller, but Triller's got an answer, man. You should let Triller speak now, man. Come on.
Yeah, go ahead, Triller.
Was that claim that Sikhs are worse than atheists? Is that what you just tried to make out?
Sikhs actively, like YSO said, think that they have this case against Islam. That's their religion starts from an anti-Islamic point of view.
Yeah. Well,
so for that reason, ban them in it. But still, we got love for the people. Love for the people still.
I won't say that. Go ahead.
Love for the people.
Where was the proof that? Is there any proof of that? Or you just made?
Yeah, because your man jumped out of the Ganges shouting, "There is no Muslim, there is no Hindu."
Right, meaning to rid the label, right? So that because there was a conflict of people, right, that were Hindu and Muslims, right, fighting over.
But the whole purpose of Islam is to separate the believer from the non-believer. So you need to label non-believers, isn't it? That's why we call them kafir.
The thing is, look, obviously, look, if you're not going to believe, right, that there is going to be none after Prophet Muhammad, right, peace be upon him, then, right, who is going to come with the true message of God, right, then obviously there's going to be a conflict of interest in that regard. It's just clear. We're not going to believe in the same things, right? And those same things are revealed in the way we practice our faiths, right?
So you're automatically wrong then?
So no, automatically, bro. Somebody is right in that equation, definitely. And who do you think that I believe in? I believe in Sikhi, right? You believe in Islam.
What you're getting wrong, yeah? What you're getting wrong, Shilla. This whole thing about turning people against Sikhs, it's not because reactionaries saying, "Oh, the anti-Islamic and Sikh this and Sikh that." He's trying to point out and allude to some secret coalition between Brahmins and Sikhs because they come from the same neck of the woods. They've got this little love for each other where Muslims are turning a blind eye to the fuckeries that goes on in Sikhi. That's what he's trying to say.
I don't know about any of that, mate. End of the day,
I'm telling you.
Like, we kick out, you know what I mean, right? We got our own peeps, you get me, that we chill with. So we're all kind of like, you know what I mean, different factions in that regard, you know what I mean? That all basically unify under this one banner, you know what I mean? So basically, Sikhs, get me, they are very different from each other, but at the same time, the belief is the same in that regard, or at least it should be, you know?
Do you believe that Muslims from your neck of the woods cut you a bit of slack when it comes to the religion thing? That they relate to you as Punjabi?
Oh no, they've been
they cut you slack.
Like my Muslim friends have been, you know what I mean, like obviously not the best examples of being Muslims as well, I have to say. Majority of my friends, they still try to obviously say, you know, you should be a Muslim, and you know, sometimes we have conversations about Islam and things like that, and it's fine. And like, I'm happy to have this kind of discourse with them, right? So it's familiar territory with me. So, and some of them I've got quite a bit of knowledge, you know what I mean? So we do have some talks. Some are happy to have these conversations, some aren't. And it comes down to that factor of how, you know, in Islam, I've learned that, you know, it says something about respecting all faiths. And some feel the best way to do that is not even by making these comparisons and having these kind of conversations. And other people feel like it's, to show it in other ways. So, yeah, everyone's got a different standpoint in that regard, you know.
100%. And as a British person, I can say Sikhs and Muslims have got a very bad relationship, considering how close they are really in terms of ethnicity and background and whatever. I mean, someone to point out and try to put, like, on a sly one, say Muslims cut Sikhs slack. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. For someone to make that, it's disingenuous to say that, because we got our beefs, innit? Muslims and Sikhs, we don't get along.
I don't think so. I think that is a bit of, like, probably back in the day there probably was some friction, and some that might be gang related. I don't know. Obviously, you get me right. There's definitely been some confrontation there, innit? Yeah, like with the Indians and the Pakistanis. You could say Sikhs and Muslims, you get me, in that regard as well. But a lot of that was before, you know what I mean? I don't see that now. And most of the fights I see are internal, they're not external.
Yeah, and I would correct you on that. What's his name, Khan? Because I wouldn't say it's Muslims who've been against Sikhs. It's a community of Punjabi Muslims who have been against Sikhs. You could say that. That would be more accurate. But a Malaysian Muslim would never have had it. Well, maybe because they've got RS Sid in Malaysia. But a Muslim in, I don't know, Nigeria isn't going to have a problem with Sikhs, is he? Right. So
Yes, he would. Of course he would. What do you mean?
No, you wouldn't see a conflict between Muslim Nigerians and Sikhs.
Yeah, but they don't have the numbers. They don't have the numbers to bring a conflict.
I'm talking about even in the UK, you're not going to see that type of conflict. The conflict in the UK that you would have seen is from a particular Punjabi community in Southall, and that's
the only reason Sikhs fly under the radar and they don't get it from the Muslims is because Sikhs don't really have the numbers. They're not going to redirect their entire dawah towards a small little community like that. It's nothing to do with how close they are or their history together. It's nothing to do with that. It's the Sikhs and numbers are very small.
It's a carrying over.
Hundreds of millions.
It's a carrying over from when the. It's a good point that you bring up about the Punjabi Muslims in a way, because part of the faith.
Thank you.
Part of the faith that was brought up inside of Sikhism was that one of the gurus used Islam and the jihad that was against them as a way, as he mentions it as a calling to fight, because Sikhism started out as peaceful, as a peaceful, non-violent religion at all. You're not allowed to do anything. And then, if I'm not mistaken, it was either the third or the fourth guru. I'd have to double check on this. But then he changed that.
It was the sixth guru.
And,
yeah, it was the sixth guru.
Okay. It's been a while. It's been like almost a year since I studied it. But
yeah.
And this was in direct retaliation to the Muslims, because in Sikh literature, they weren't really getting fought by the Hindus. They weren't getting fought by the Jainists, the Buddhists at the areas or whatever. It was the jihad from the Muslims. Now, some would say that part of that is because of the stories that were collected about Guru Nanak, where after his death, allegedly, it was prophesied that he would show a light from his body, and that he had Muslims following him as a guru, which would completely go against Islam. And so there is an argument through historical means that this jihad that they took against them was based off of the false teachings that Muslims had become Sikhs, or started following a different religion.
Exactly.
And then,
because
so
Sikh dawah is aimed at Muslims.
So real quick, just 10 seconds. So the point that it is the Punjabi Muslims that have a problem with Sikhs is showing that it is relative to the area and the historical context of how they view Sikhism and Islam interacting.
Yeah.
I think what's his name? YSO made a very good point there, and I think that. But one point I may disagree with, the reason for the suppression of Sikhs by the Mughals or whoever it was that was in charge. I think it was probably similar to the Chinese. They saw them as a separatist movement. Once people announced that they're leaving Islam, that ultimately meant we're stepping away from your jurisdiction.
I was only given.
But here's the point. Let me just say the same thing happened.
I was only given a historical view. I wasn't saying that is the defined reason inside of either cases. I was trying to give both cases of what is the historical viewpoint.
Yeah, and it's only fair, Khan, if I respond to that quickly to YSO's thing. Bro, what you have to appreciate is, with the gurus, they were obviously, like, with all the gurus, right, they were connected, right? So with all the gurus, you have to appreciate that the line of events, right? Even though you're talking about some events that took place for them too, and some things happened in response to that, right? I can appreciate that part of history. You know what I mean? We're looking at that logically and everything else, right? You have to appreciate the divinity, right, behind obviously the gurus, in terms of that Guru Nanak was also Guru Gobind Singh. He was all 10 of the gurus, right? So that mission was a 200-year mission. It wasn't going to be completed in one lifetime. So everything happened the way it was meant to happen in that regard. This is what we believe in. You know what I mean, right? So it's sort of like how these are predetermined things. You know what I mean? Everything else. I mean, it was an absolute miracle, right? If you look at the Sikh history, how it survived anyway. You know what I mean? In the time.
Okay, so I see what you're saying, Triller, but I mean, at the end of the thing, yeah, like when you put it up to the test, is it really divine? You know, like today we have science, technology, biology, everything. We've learned a lot of stuff, yeah. And so when we put up these other faiths to the test, they're not divine or anything, because divine would be from the all-knowing creator. There would be no mistakes, isn't it? You understand?
Well, the test is in that regard is our test would be connection, right? Connecting to God. So we believe we can connect to God in this lifetime, right? Through means of prayer and meditation, right? And obviously doing good deeds and being charitable, honest, you know what I mean? Hardworking, right? These are kind of traits that will basically, virtuous traits that will get you closer to God. But through meditation and prayer, right? You know what I mean? These things are key. And I think the difference is like we incorporate things like music, right? To help us to attain, right, that spiritual mind, right? And to basically get that connection with God. You guys have your way of doing things, right? And that's where we differ, you know what I mean? In that regard as well, along with other faiths.
All right, Triller. So what's the future for Sikhi now? Do you think they should open it up to other races? Maybe get some fresh blood in there?
It always has been. The thing is, look, you have to appreciate that we've not been because we're not as big as Christianity and Islam, right? The promotion hasn't really been there in that regard. You know what I mean, right? So but that things are changing, right? Things are, you know what I mean, moving forward in that regard. And there's been a lot of rejuvenation, especially within our own communities, right? Sikh communities. I mean, a lot of people are, you know what I mean, learning more about the faith, coming back into it, doing it properly. You know what I mean, right? Things like that. We're just getting closer to it. So the information is getting put out there more and more now. So people are finding it easier to learn.
Yeah, and what I suppose has been clear is that the dawah teams don't have a way of giving dawah to Sikhs. Yep, the online dawah teams, there's just silence.
You can't.
It's because they haven't read it. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
That's the only reason.
But what I'm saying theologically speaking, the whole premise of Sikhi from the beginning is been as a refutation of Islam, from the beginning of it. So for a Muslim to kind of like reverse engineer their argument would be like really difficult. And based on the fact that they don't really have that much of a population either, it's like what's is the juice worth the squeeze, really? Is it?
So reactionary, look, Adnan Rashid fully tackled the Sikh issue and went through the Sikh religious books, and also remember that other brother Smeet. Remember Smeet Charlo was his name.
You said that about brother Adnan Rashid, but when I spoke to him, he was like, "They're our brothers." Yeah, and he was saying only good things about Sikhi.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I said, but aren't they kuffar? And they kicked me off the channel. So
here's the thing, man. If Muslims were to just read the Guru Sahib, the first 100 pages, instantly they would be able to find something to use, right? There's a video on my channel, if you want to play it reactionary, where I go into Jim Wallace's and I just quote their Guru Sahib, where it says that Guru Nanak, he admits to telling falsehoods, he admits to telling lies, and the panel goes crazy. The panel goes crazy.
But the thing is that why so? It was back then. It was normal. Like, we know when they tell this story about the 22 Sikhs that fought off like 3,000 or 300,000 Muslims or whatever it was. All these
I'm not talking
stories, like
about that though. But Gain,
but I mean, like telling these exaggerated stories and
no,
all
but
these
the
lies
point
and all
here
that.
is that
It's just traditional. It's just like
no,
Norse
but
mythology.
the point that I'm making
Like,
is
it's so easy. If you're so
like
quick to
it
assume that
couldn't
the
be
Sikh history is a
falsehood.
lie, then why can't people assume that what yours
But
is
we're
a
not
lie?
saying
Because
it's a
yours is
lie.
a lot
What
older.
we're saying is
I'm not saying
traditionally, people used to say things like this. Like they used to exaggerate the truth. You know what I mean? It's like Thor. He used to he was a real man, but people were like, oh, he throws bolts of thunder. It's like people used to lie back in the day. It's like their understanding of reality and what's fiction isn't the same as what ours is now, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, it would be like if you're at the campfire with your kids and you're telling a story about a strong man when you were young. You say, he was so strong, he could
William
throw a
Wallace was
car.
6 feet
Right.
tall.
But
Yeah, yeah.
how are those stories going to develop? You get me, right? What you call it in that regard? Do you reckon over a short period of time or over a long period of time? That's going to happen over a long period of time. So you know what I mean, like it's more likely that Islamic, what you call it, history might be more distorted than Sikh history in that regard, because it was so recent. Regardless, there were many events that took place, right? That obviously would have distorted history because we barely survived at the time. You know, about 300 years ago, they
But
were, they were
Trilla,
fighting for their lives.
I think Trilla's
what I was
at heart. I
Go,
think
I can't hear.
Trilla at heart. I know Allah knows best. I think you're a Muslim at heart, right? I think you just need a little nudge. Yeah, just a little nudge. Come to Islam.
Yeah, you know what?
and save
I've
yourself
heard it.
from
I've heard it all
hellfire.
before. It's all good, bro. Trust me. I'll save you the trouble, man. Trust me. You just be wasting your time.
Save
I
yourself
mean, I've
from
been pretty
eternal
clear
hellfire.
about my about my stance. I think I've shown that I believe in something very different from what you believe in. So
I mean, it
but
just comes down. It
Yeah,
really comes down to what does their book say. You know, the book says that Guru Nanak, the first guru who's incarnate, right, of the one God, he admits to telling falsehoods, of having greed, of having all these things that would not be godly, and he admits and attributes them to himself.
So,
So
Trilla, how does that make you feel
where
when
would
you
you
hear?
find
Right,
that?
does that make you not question anything?
what?
Why so? Just say.
Why so kind of like what? Look, man, why so is on a different level. At the end of the day, why so he's basically just doing what he does, right? It doesn't phase me in that regard. If he's genuine about his question, then you know what I mean, right? I'm gonna give my utmost attention to it. Say the truth, dude. You get me, right? He believes in
But
whatever
said
he believes in. Yeah, go on.
He quoted the Guru Granth Sahib. He said, and he pointed out things that Guru Nanak himself said about himself, which would indicate he's not a god, because they're ungodly characteristics.
Right,
Now,
but
what does that make you think then? How do you?
But again, if you're taking one,
if that's what your holy book says,
right. But if you're taking one part of the holy book, right, and not understanding it in its entirety, then what are you doing? Because again, it's just you know what I mean, this is something that is very complex for a lot of people, right? Especially if you don't come from the faith and believe in it, right? In that regard. So
I don't know. I think
it's
a
going to be
lot
very
of Muslims would have.
yeah.
A lot of Muslims would have never became Muslim if there was a Quran verse that said where Muhammad says, "I am a liar," especially because because these are supposed to be the words of God. You know, so then that would
in fact, why so? Why so? In fact, the Prophet Muhammad SAW was specifically known as the truthful. That was what that's what we're told specifically.
Okay.
The exact opposite.
See, here's the thing,
But
with Weiso, taking Weiso, 1 second. When you what you just did, taking a part out of it, it takes somebody who's read about Sikhi their entire majority of their lives, right? Somebody who's very intelligent, or you know what I mean, quite intelligent. Everything else takes years, right? Of you know what I mean, learning, and everything else for these people to explain everything word by word, all 1,430 pages. You know what I mean, so on and so forth. It takes a long time, a lot of experience. Why so? You know what I mean, your understanding of something, you're pulling something out and saying, you know what I mean? What do you take from this? I'm like, dude, I'm not a scholar. You're asking the wrong person completely. And to tell you the truth, you would need somebody to refer to like a scholar, reading something, like me reading the whole Guru Granth Sahib. Do you think I'm going to understand like everything in translation or whatever? Like, I wouldn't be able to understand it in its entirety without having people to explain.
Fair dues.
That wasn't the
Trilla
point
can't answer the question.
real quick. That wasn't the point that I just made, right? No, listen, that wasn't the point that I just made. The point that I made was no Muslims, no Christians would believe this if their book says this or whatever. Or I am a lie. I have told lies.
Yeah.
I'm a greedy person.
Yeah.
They would not be following that as the source of God, especially because the incarnate part of God. So that really calls into question the God of Sikhism. But and then if you look at it Islamically,
Why so? Let me ask you a question. You know, these gurus are supposed to have like traveled the world, gone to Mecca, turned up at the Vatican. Like, do you think that's part of the made up part of the story as well? Because to me, it's a bit suspect that he's been everywhere. It's like Phileas Fogg. He's done like 3 laps of the planet.
I have never followed in. I have not found any scholarship to support those claims that they have gone.
But I'm
to
saying like,
why limit
but
it?
why so?
Why
What I'm
limit
saying,
it?
logically speaking, back in those times, would it have been possible for someone to do all this traveling and found the
Well, I mean,
religion
you
at the
can't.
same
He's
time?
not. Firstly, you're not visiting Masjid al-Haram. You're not visiting Mecca unless you're Muslim.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this would be a major contention amongst the Muslims once they heard this story. Instantly,
Right.
it would say, "Oh, our Imam, our faith is so weak that we just allow non-Muslims, disbelievers." And definitely, if there were people within the time frame of the gurus, which there were, hearing the claims that they were making, they would definitely consider them mushrikeen and doing shirk.
It's all been,
So
mate. It's all been debated. It's all been refuted. It's all been. You get me? Like, all this stuff has been done. Do you know what I mean? Even by, like I said, obviously our people, right, who have a lot of knowledge, right? And even I've talked about a lot of these things. So you know what I mean? Whether you accept it or not is different. But they've already been refuted. You know what I mean? We've already made these claims. Whether you want to believe them or not is up to you. Right? We're not shoving it down
I'm
your
just
throat.
being honest.
You don't
I
have
have
to
not come
believe it.
across. I've
You want to
never come
refute it? That's
across
up to
any
you too.
scholarship. I have not come across any scholarship in any of my readings that can verify that Guru Nanak or whoever made a pilgrimage to Mecca. That is a strictly belief claim. You would think that it would be recorded.
Look,
I mean, we have Mansa
even
Musa.
I can explain this to you very simply, right? Obviously, Mardana, his companion, wanted to go to Mecca, right, to do his Hajj, right, and Guru Nanak accompanied him to Mecca, right. And at the end of the day, Guru Nanak looks like everybody else in that regard. He's got a beard, he's got a turban. Everybody else is looking the same in that regard, right? So it's very easy for people to go, you know what I mean, go to Mecca. At the same time, it's not walled up how it was back in the day. You know what I mean? In that regard, right? It was, like I said, it's very easy for him to pass
it's always been that
through.
easy to go to
And
Mecca?
to tell you the truth, when it comes down to it, I don't know how far he went into. Obviously, I'm pretty sure that he only went like near. You know what I mean? The grounds. I don't think he'd done the you know what I mean? What they call it? You know, the Hajj, because he didn't even partake in other prayers when he was offered to by other Muslims, right? Previously, he didn't partake in their prayers. He accompanied them there, but he never partook in their prayers. He did.
Y'all may not
his
like
meditation.
this, but there is a video. There's a video. This is just to the point that he's trying to make that. Oh, it's just you know, he looks like every other person. He can make it in. He would have had to shave his head for one, and that's kind of like a no-no, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Why so? You're such a G, bro. Oh my God. He smashed it. You smashed it. I don't know what time is it where you are, but it's 2 o'clock in the morning here. My brain's not that sharp, man.
Why so you pum pum? Why didn't you say that before?
Yeah, why didn't you say that years ago?
well, I mean, I'm just
Anyway,
saying, like,
I'm going on mute. Let him just talk.
so then,
Why so? Preach the thing, brother.
That's not the thing that y'all would the Muslims on the channel or wherever the Ummah would be upset with me saying this, but there is footage from before Saudi Arabia outlawed slavery in the land. And in that footage of pilgrimage, you can see that the slaves that they bring with them have to stand outside of the city and are not allowed inside of Mecca. So there's always been a very like Muslim concept of making sure that they do not allow unclean people, religious people inside of Mecca. And yeah, I'm just saying there's footage of it. So to say that they weren't guarding Mecca for millennia, you know, and that this guy can just go there, show up, and that no Muslims did pilgrimage at the same time that him and this guy did it, right? That none of Muslims from the Punjabi area also went on to pilgrimage, and then was able to say, "Hey, this guy's not a Muslim."
Can you see
You know,
that?
I think
Can you see
that.
But again, we're talking about the chosen one here. No, but you guys are
that is an
basically
actual
taking the
road
piss,
sign.
yeah, out of the chosen one, right?
No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
Let Triller
But
speak.
we believe him to be
Let
the
Triller
highest,
respond.
right? Yeah, yeah,
Bruv, you're
because
not
we
helping,
believe him
man.
to be the
Relax, man.
highest, right? In that regard, right?
No.
Higher than all the Abrahamic prophets, right? That's how we see Guru Nanak. You understand? So whatever you're laughing at is, you get me? If you believe in God, you are laughing at. I mean, Guru
No,
Nanak being the divine savior in that regard. Whether you
Sikh
choose to
shaving
accept
his
him
head,
or not
bro.
is up to you. You can
No
have
Sikh's
those,
gonna shave his head,
but
bro.
again, no,
He
but
ain't gonna
again,
shave his head.
what?
No Sikh's gonna shave his head.
What are you talking about? No Sikh's going to shave his head. What are you talking about?
To go into a thing, Hajj, you have to shave your head.
Right? So what makes you think he did Hajj?
Well,
Why
isn't
can't
that
you
the
go
claim?
to Mecca and not do
Isn't
Hajj?
that the claim? But
No,
Mecca, bro, Mecca
your claim
isn't
might be
the
that.
same. Bro, listen, Mecca back in the day weren't the same Mecca now. You know, back in the day, London was just like a tiny little.
Yeah, but look. Think
Right,
logically,
exactly.
innit? Can't.
Wow.
Guys, think logically, because look, from like people know, innit, from ancient history, yeah, that Mecca is the first house or the first place established to worship the creator of the worlds, Allah. So obviously, innit, you can't blame people for trying to go close to it, innit, because that's known in history. And unless you
Bro,
want to
what I'm saying
rewrite
to you
history,
is what
then
I'm
it's
saying
gonna
to you is
get a
what
bit.
these lot are doing, yeah. How they work out their their opposition to Islam, where we're saying there's no other gods, there's only Allah. They're saying the opposite. They're saying all the gods are their God.
I guess
They're saying that.
Yeah, but it's not.
Yeah.
Triller,
Yeah.
do you believe that Guru Nanak shaved his head ever in his life?
No, I don't know, dude. I don't know.
But wait.
No,
Because
I've
if
never
you
really thought about it.
look, think logically.
Yeah.
Think logically. Okay. So can you see the road sign on the screen? This is an actual road sign when approaching Mecca. So it says Mecca is straight ahead, Muslims only, and exit for non-Muslims. Right?
You get the scenic route. I get the scenic route.
And the sign is red, Shaitan's color.
So anyhow, no, it's a fascinating discussion. Where Triller, you still there?
It's Triller. You there, man?
Okay, big up. So no, thanks everyone for jumping on. Yeah, I'm supposed to be up at 5 a.m. So
oh wow.
Yeah, I need to get a bit of sleep, but I'd like to, if you don't mind, I need to call it an end to the show tonight.
Okay.
I'd like to thank you all for joining me. It's great having you all on. I really appreciate your inputs. So big up to YSO, big up to Triller, man like Triller, and
Big up everyone, man. Big up Reaction.
K-Ball. I hope nobody was offended in anything we said. It's just adult discussion on.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
So,
all in the spirit of things.
Yeah, man.
Take care, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, man. And big up everyone in the chat. All of you watching, whether you're live or watching later on. Thanks again for watching. And to the Muslims, grow up. I suppose is my message to you.
React. Can I ask you something before you
go?
Bro,
yeah, go.
Would you be able to make little clippets of this and post them up and put a title I don't know, YSO refutes something or another. He made some good points. I think it shouldn't be lost. It should, for posterity's sake, because these conversations we have, they're very spontaneous. And I know Jordan was saying, it's unproductive and it's boring, but really the things that were becoming uncovered was just next level to me. I don't know.
No, very,
Yeah.
very valuable conversations and insights. I would say,
Anyway,
just because of my time and stuff like that, anybody who wants to send me timestamps, I'll put them into the description, so it makes it easier to find the key
I'll get the
points.
team on it. I'll get the team on it. All right.
All right.
All
Then,
right. Good night. Good night, then, brothers. Good night.
Yeah. Good night. Good night. So with that, everyone, I'd like to say,
Assalamu alaikum.
any final words?
Man, saying Assalamu alaikum to everybody. But that's it. I mean, just watch your back, you know, on the streams and that, because we're gonna get into it over here, and people might not like it. It gets a bit sticky and that, you know.
Sorry. What do you mean? Bird nest. You there?
Well, yeah, what I'm saying is when it comes to the scrutiny, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, when it comes to the scrutiny and you do dig up information and knowledge about every faith, including Islam, certain things don't hold up to the level, you know, of modern day. Like, for example, you know, stuff we've already been through, including everything: Sikhism, atheism, ism, schism, you know, you name it. It just can't compare, really, you know.
What you mean, that they're all holding opposition to Islam? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it's not really. If you look at
Okay, no problem with the audio there. But although the Badness's audio was much better today than it has been over the past few days. So anyway, that was positive. And yeah, so again, thank you, everyone. Let's send peace and blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his wives and companions. And with that, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Oh, big up to Claire as well. Wassalamu alaikum, everyone, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.